What's up, everybody? We are not too late today. Coop, how you doing on this Hump Day Wednesday?
Doing good. On the go as usual. You know the
Yes,
motion.
sir.
All right. You know the motions. You know the habits.
I hear that, man. I want to, wait for everybody to get in the room. We got a whole lot to cover today. The
Right.
BET Awards happened this weekend, and I think there's a lot of things that need to be talked about as it pertains to that, and just the show in general, and just award shows in general. I went back and looked at some of the performances and how things were put together. Eh,
Mhm.
we'll talk about it though.
Right.
Um, Man, we really been buzzing. I seen y'all been going back and forth on Twitter like crazy. I think you and Jar from Rap Roundtable and somebody else. What's that whole thing about?
You really want to know?
Yeah. I'll talk.
It's about Big and Jay and Nas.
In
And this guy. I mean, the fam just
in what
feels like,
context?
huh?
In what context?
About how Jay and Nas are better than Big, and I'm like, like how they have more songs and better songs, and I'm like, well, that's just because they stayed alive like the Bee Gees. It's like when they,
Yeah.
I was explaining to the fam. I just sent this tweet out too, and I was actually in another meeting, like literally till about 30 minutes ago. During the meeting I was at, I kind of tweeted out the fam right quick. I'm like, hey, it took Nas and Jay about 5-6 years song wise to catch up to what Big left them with.
No, that's real.
It's no disrespect. It's just real.
I don't think Jay would take it as disrespect. I don't think Nas would either. I think when you think about the comparison when it comes to Jay and Big, let's just say hypothetically Big lived, right? I think to compare the two, and it's funny because, Jay's the older of the two, it's literally like someone saying that Kobe's better than Jordan. Like, Kobe actually went out there and patterned his game after Jordan. It would tell you that. Like, got advice from Jordan, just like Jay got advice from Big. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell, and we spoke about this on our previous episode. Like, you can listen to Life After Death, and you can see how Jay kind of patterned his career from then on out on that formula and how those things were being done. Now, granted, yes, the longevity of it all and being able to consistently do what they've been able to do. We constantly harp on what Nas is doing recently. And we always talk about Jay for his longevity and how he's been able to be so dominant for so long. Like you said, never been a nigga this good for this long. And Big just didn't have that opportunity to do those things.
Yes.
And we don't know, if Big would have just fell off a cliff or if he would have continued to sustain that greatness. It's a big what if question. But if we're sitting here judging things in a vacuum from what we heard, I can't just say that, inherently Nas and Jay are just better than Big like that. Now, granted, on an all-time level, you can't really put Big over them based on the lack of material. But,
Well, a couple of things that he said in his favor that I found to be, kind of factual. A, Big didn't have the opportunity to make any bad stuff. Well, correct.
Well, that's incorrect. That's incorrect.
Well,
A double album is a big opportunity to make some bad stuff. Your sophomore album. That's why they call it a sophomore jinx. The third
Well,
album's supposed to be the one, really. So Big came with a classic on his second try with a double album. That's a big degree of difficulty. So he did have an opportunity to make something whack. He just never did.
I don't argue with that point, and that's an excellent point. I did not make that point. I went to other points of the argument to make. But I think what he's saying is that, like, Jay and Nas have put out like 14, 15, 16 projects at this point.
Yeah.
Big would have, and I'll grant it, Big would have made some subpar stuff, like volume-wise. But what we were seeing from him, like, let's just say it was just a run, Mike. Like, it was like gonna be a dynastic type run of quality of music being made.
Right.
And he had already kind of distanced himself a little bit hit-wise from those guys. Because Nas and Jay have the street records to match Big, but they don't have the hits to match Big. And that's where actually the separation happens with Big. Quality-wise with Jay and Nas, it's like, well, they got hits, but their hits ain't like his hits, and they damn sure not better.
In
you and I
1995,
frequently, it's like we're actually going to talk. I want to talk about a line from Juicy based on that flyer that you showed me.
somebody said we're blocking people. No, we're not blocking anybody. I don't know if YouTube's playing any games or whatever, but no, nobody's being blocked. What we
Yeah,
saying, Coop?
I'm about to say I haven't even like stepped into like the thread yet. I've actually just been in my notes. No, like one of the things that we're going to talk about in reference to Lupe as well today too is that this is what's so special about Big. Big had a great way of being able to contextualize things that you know, but put it together in a fly way that you remember. When you sent me that flyer, the MC Sham flyer that had Rakim as the undercar and had Mr. Magic and Marley Marl on there.
I actually got it right here. Yeah.
Cool.
I'll put it on the screen.
Put it on the screen. Let's talk about a couple things on there. The first thing that I realize is like, that's the line from Juicy Biggs talking about. Every Saturday, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl.
Yeah.
When you sent me the flyer, that's the first place that I went to as a head. That's what I mean about how being super lyrical all the time doesn't matter. Sometimes you need to connect.
Yeah. And you were talking earlier about, Ice Cube, being randomly played in your car when you got in the car, excuse me. And nobody did a better job of connecting at that point than Cube. Tupac is another one, and I think that Tupac's connecting barometer is off the charts, and that shit's important. It's literally more important than the lyrical miracle stuff. And yeah, that's a shot at the people who did an interview about that. I'm gonna talk about that later too.
It is. I was actually thinking about, if you look at most people's top 10 MC lists, it's like, well, no, there's a lot of great lyricists on everybody's list, but it's all the lyricists who connect with you. It's Nas, it's Jay, it's Big, it's Tupac, it's Ice Cube, it's Scarface. It's like none of those guys, except for maybe Nas, you would probably take to like a rap battle and be like, yeah. You feel me?
Michael Williams with the super chat says, Coop, is Pain by Tupac on your best soundtrack song list?
That's a good question. If my iPad would let me in, I would let you know. Having trouble getting.
Well, if it isn't, it isn't. If it isn't, it should be, rather. It's one of my favorite Tupac.
I know Pour Out a Little Liquor in My Block is on there.
I like Pain more than both of those songs, and I love Pour Out a Little Liquor.
That's pretty strong. Let's hold on.
It's that beat, man. I don't know what it is,
I'm
man.
You know what? You can call me wrong. I don't have Pain on there, but I do now.
Okay, it'll be on there. All right.
No. According to Hip Hop, for the people, by the people, help me with the playlist. That's cool that somebody was listening, because I am currently still. These are two of the harder playlists to make. This soundtrack playlist, super hard. The Prodigy playlist, really, really hard, because Prodigy connects with a lot of people. Another guy who connects.
Another connector.
Who's also lyrical. Another lyrical guy who connects.
Mad Max with the super chat says, got a lot of respect for Big, but his debut didn't age that well. Life After Death was great and has stayed great. I think the thing about Big's debut, Ready to Die, that is, I think you could tell that it was recorded over different periods of time and different eras, actually. I think the Fugees were talking about this with Blunted on Reality. They recorded it like during a certain time in hip-hop, which was 93. Same thing with Big, right? Mm-hmm. And then by the time that the label Columbia was able to put it out, shit changed. And I think that we're hearing that in Ready to Die through the course of one album, and you're also hearing, the Uptown Big, you're hearing the Bad Boy Big. And in that course, you're also hearing what rap sounded like in 92, 93, and what rap sounded like in 94.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I wasn't interrupting you, was I?
No, you good. I was done, sort of.
Okay, so the thing about Ready to Die that's beautiful in a way that Illmatic isn't, because it doesn't have timeless themes like Illmatic, is that you can kind of hear that 92 and 93 hip-hop doesn't have a direction.
Yeah.
That's why Big and Puff were able to do what they did. It didn't have a direction or a sound. So they started giving it one. And Ready to Die is actually the embryo. I always tell people, when Illmatic comes out in April, that's not the beginning of something new. That's the end of something old. That's a timepiece with timeless themes. That's about hip hop from 85 to 94. Ready to Die is about searching for and connecting on a lot of levels with what's next in June. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're doing what's next, well, it's not probably going to be flawless, you know? Like, probably not. But when you're doing what's next, it's not going to be flawless. Like, I'll tell you what, and we'll talk about
Or what
this
you
since
think
we're
is
like
next. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my melody's not flawless. You feel me?
It's not?
It's not flawless. It's not. It's not like a flawless record, Mike. Like, even when you
It's
think
raw.
about Paid in Full, when you think about Paid in Full, do you think about My Melody as the first record that comes off the top of your
It's
head?
one
That's
of the
what I mean.
first. I say Eric B is president for me. Yeah, man, My Melody and I Ain't No Joke is right around that.
Yeah, right around that, but it's
Yeah.
not the record. Eric B is president is the.
That's
How about
the
this? From Has It's Been Told to Me, most people, Eric B is president and Paid in Full, the actual song,
Right.
are the records.
Right. Mad Max
know
with the
what I'm
super
saying?
chat says, not giving big that Nas did Illmatic the same time. It's a lot better than Ready to Die to me. I wasn't alive for that era, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's better because it was put together better, and I think that the point of where Illmatic was going was also different than what they were doing on Ready to Die. Ready to Die was about, you know what, we're going to make a street record and a record that got hits on it. I don't think that Illmatic had any intentions on having any kind of hit records.
But no. But they were intentionally making records to see what was connecting. It's like, okay, do y'all want to hear Biggie talk about subject matter? Well, let's do Things Done Change. You want to hear Biggie show his versatility and do some gangster shit? Well, give me the loot. Machine Gun Funk. You want to hear something like kind of deep and depressing and thoughtful? Well, we got Suicidal Thoughts. We got Everyday Struggle. You want some hits? We got Juicy. We got Big Papa.
The versatility is all over the place.
Who's buzzing in the streets right now? Let's get Method Man on a record.
Yeah.
You feel me?
That's what Ready to Die is.
Ready to Die is like one of the best actually trial and error sessions ever.
Yeah.
Like for what works and what doesn't. And if you looked at what worked, most of what he did worked. Give Me the Loot doesn't work. No, yes it does. Machine Gun Funk.
The Isley Brothers sample worked.
The actual Ready to Die, flipping the Isley Brothers sample into Big Papa worked. Nope.
Yep.
Juicy, using the Juicy Fruit sample. Nope, that worked.
We're gonna get to that too.
Everyday Struggle worked. Me and My Bitch worked. Me and My Bitch is on the show soundtrack with the Computer Love beat. Like, no, they connected a whole lot. It's a great record.
Let me get to these super chats real quick. I don't want to interrupt you. LP says Machine Gun Funk, Give Me the Loot, Me and My Bitch, Suicidal Thoughts, Everyday Struggle, The What? No way an album with them songs aged badly.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like it didn't age like Life After Death, but
Damian Jones says, Coop, you got heated last week, but next time take Nas's advice. Don't argue with fools. They'll scorn the wisdom of your words. Ghetto Prison. LP with the super chat says, Ready to Die had humor, Illmatic didn't. That helped big. It's that personality and it's that wittiness. Lance Admin says, 1997, who's the best storyteller between Big and Nas? I'm inclined to give it to Big. Arizona Ron was a wild dude. Old Badley says Terminator blocked some people because of petty beef. Terminator don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm about to say I haven't even been in the chat yet. Like I've still actually been in the notes, and I've actually been in some other notes because we've jumped through some other things, and I got like a list of like stuff I keep notes on.
Yeah, man, don't be blocking people, man. Let everybody speak their piece and all that stuff, and everybody has their opinions. Man Ned says Illmatic was more hip hop rooted than Ready to Die. I think that was just the intent. You want to talk about the BET Awards real quick?
Only because we have to, I guess.
Really? I mean, I don't know,
Go ahead.
Man.
No, go ahead. No. I mean, I have some thoughts. They're minute.
Well, see, this is my thing. I think that the whole organism of an award show is a dead technology. I think that the only award shows that we're probably going to really have in the future are ones that are ran by academies like, the Oscars and the Grammys. I mean, because those are actual staples and those are, it's not about who watches it. Like, they're going to give these awards regardless if they put them on TV or not. You're going to see that. None of the other awards are really necessary. I hate to say it like that. We might continue to have Billboard awards and things like that to chart numbers, but even that's convoluted. So it's become one of those things that's problematic in a sense because if you turn on BET right now, you're probably just going to see a bunch of Fresh Prince and Martin reruns. And it's very difficult, and this goes for MTV too. I don't want to just single BET out. It's very difficult to gauge an award ceremony based on music on a network that's supposed to be playing music, but it's not. We used to be able to look at the BET Awards when they played music and understand, like, yeah, man, that Ja Rule song was getting burned. It should win. You know what I mean? You saw these people actually performing on this network, so you're very familiar with them with the network and everybody that's hosting the show. You got, not to be funny, I love Taraji, but she has no real connection with BET like that. Like, back when BET actually had VJs who were playing music videos, you would see Free AJ come out there. You would see, people that you were familiar with on the network, Tigger, whatever. And it made sense in that way. Now it's like, I don't know. It's all over the place because it's all rooted in music. And if you're not playing music and you're not supporting music, it's pointless. Michael Williams with the super chat says, "Who had the better performance on I Love the Dough, Jay or Big?" I give you that one.
That's actually some of my favorite Jay stuff, but I've always felt like it was a draw. If you wanted to give it to Jay, I felt like you could give it to Jay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think it was more in his lane. I think Big adapted to Jay on that record. Again, Angela Winbush is on there, and Jay does great over, especially in that era.
You want to know what it was for me? It was actually the third verse. It was the way Jay freaked the third verse where I was like, okay, miraculous. Niggas stay full. Niggas skip the ball because we mad at dolls. That's your P89s that we clapping the draws and we clap the doors of your Acura. Snap like cameras on amateurs. Make you whole dance. Hold on, what do they say? Make you all dance. Hold a hammer to yours. Jig a big rock ice, no cracks and flaws. Everybody got a part to play. Back to yours.
JB was here says JB was here says I never heard an Isley Mtume sample that don't work. We're gonna get to that too, because
but when you're saying that, how many people have used the Isley sample?
Yeah.
And an Mtume sample it executed. Because when you're splitting hairs, it comes about who executes, doesn't it? And Big executed those records. And so like one of the things that I ran, that's a dude on Twitter that was talking about Nas and Jay are better. He's like, well, but Puff. And I'm like, well, yeah, Puff is there. Puff can't rap. like Puff didn't spit those bars on Everyday Struggle and Give Me the Loot and Juicy and Big Papa. Like, that's Big. Big made that happen. He bought the life a whole bunch. Hey, we all love the Can't You See with the Big Payback sample. Is that record the same without Big's intro? Is Only You the same without Big spitting his bars? Room 112, where the players dwell? And stash more cash in Bourbondales. Inhale, make you feel good like Tony. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like is that record? Those records aren't the same without Big.
I do kind of wish that Big would have changed his verse on the remix, but I do think also if Big would have had a new verse, Mace wouldn't have gone last, and Mace needed to go last on that one because that launched Mace's career. Thumbs up in the chat, man. We about to get real deep in here, man. I really want to talk about a few things, man. I want to talk about that Jack Harlow performance at the BET Awards too. That was one of my big takeaways.
Go ahead.
Well, All right, well, this you see on the screen is Jack Harlow with the Lil Nas X shirt on the red carpet. I think that he was wearing the Lil Nas X shirt because Lil Nas X didn't get any nominations for a BET award and was making a big fuss about it. All the way to the point where Lil Nas X went out there and urinated on a BET award. Now, this is where I'm at with it. Regardless of what you think about BET now or who owns it now or what it's become, BET is too important for any black artist of any genre to be disrespected in any level, on any level, because you didn't get a single nomination, whatever. Look, I get it. Lil Nas X, he kind of got his whole MO with trolling, whatever. But again, there has to be a line drawn where certain things are beyond being disrespected publicly like that. And, I'm upset with some of, our peers that haven't said anything about this, because to keep it all the way 100, without BET, not a lot of black artists would have the careers that they have. And the proof's in the pudding for that. MTV was not supporting black artists on any level. I mean, if you're not Michael Jackson or Prince, and when BET came along, and Rap City's older than Yo MTV Raps for a reason, BET came along and forced MTV's hand to actually play black music to the level that they ended up doing. And many people rode that BET wave. I'm glad Puff got recognized, but again, the Puffs, the Jays, the Dre's, all of these guys rode the wave of BET, and it got them to where they are and had them reach an audience that radio couldn't get them to. So for BET as a brand and as a staple, and what BET means to the culture, to be disrespected like that because you didn't get a little nomination, that shit needs to be checked, man. So I said phone on silent, Mike. It is, man. That's my Mac. Everything's connected, man. But yeah, I thought that shit was whack. And with all that being said, Jack Harlow gets on the red carpet with a Lil Nas X shirt. So I guess Jack Harlow, he's cool with Lil Nas X urinating on a BET award. So, and then he performs. And then you got Brandy and Lil Wayne coming out there to bail him out. He's out there dancing off beat with the backup dancers. It's horrible. It's horrendous. And this is all I'm going to say. I think at this point, you have to earn your way in there like all the other performers and perform by yourself. Why did Brandy and Wayne have to come out? Show people why you're supposed to be there on your own. Am I off course on this?
You're not off course on anything. We're going to have to pause it for a second.
What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, this is just your organization. So I believe Dumb It Down's been blocked. I'm not sure what he said or how it's been going about, but I'm going to ask respectfully that we probably let him back in, because I know that's what you
nobody should be blocked. Hold on. What? Who's blocking who? Because
I mean, Terminator said he's just being disrespectful towards me, and I guess he was continuing. I didn't read the comments because I was still in my notes, but he is has been blocked. But I mean, this is your show at the end of the day. So
let's get that taken care of real quick.
I'm fine with him being in here. I appreciate Terminator too, but it's like,
I mean, let's do a show, man. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I just had to talk with somebody, and it's like, there is some of this that kind of comes with it. I actually kind of wanted to have an intelligent discourse about some of the things that happened last week, at least on a musical level.
Yeah.
In terms of where I was coming from, and kind of break it down that way. So, for me, I'm Mike, when I did actually play football and have the opportunity to, I mostly had to play either wide receiver or cornerback. When you play cornerback, you kind of got to have a quick memory and recover fast. You know what I'm saying? Not
Yeah.
think about the old shit so you can move to like the next play. You know, so that's kind of how I look at that. I just want to make sure that okay, if Dumb It Down's,
Is Dumb It Down back on?
I don't know. I'm just making sure. Okay, LP said Dumb It Down isn't on here. Okay. I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody's getting fair run and like people don't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, man, this is about people to be able to have their own voices about, hip hop, whether we disagree or not. Y'all work on that Terminator. Get him back on.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody's off, like
because again, I mean,
I'm over everything that happened. I think like I addressed everything that I had to address. Like I've been past it. I mean,
what's happening is we're trying to do
concerning Jack Harlow. I mean,
well, what we're trying to do. I mean, I want to say this real quick. I mean, what's happening is we're just trying to go on with a whole nother show, and y'all letting this carry over from another show, and now we can't even get to the topic. So let everybody in. I want to get to the super chat real quick, and then you go ahead and say what you got to say. Mad Max says Lil Nas X is an LGBTQ Tekashi 6ix9ine, and because he's a part of the group, he gets protected to troll. That's a really good point. And, I think that we have to look at trolling as trolling, LP says, Mike, can't say that the award doesn't mean anything, but the artists take it that serious. X wants to be nominated and act like he's too big. Yeah, I mean, again,
I think there's some
it's some okay. I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just gonna say it's some entitlement there.
I was about to say I think there's some clout chasing going on. You feel like there's some entitlement. I feel like there's some clout chasing going on because it's like I'm not being funny when I say this. And we'll get to the Jack Harlow thing with it too. How serious do these artists really take the BET Awards and the integrity of the award now outside of the clout and the notoriety and the whole scene and the whole media, social media aspect and building your brand aspect of it out? Like, how serious do they take the integrity of the award? Do they really feel like think about when Stevie Wonder was winning like all of those like Grammys for Album of the Year. What it was, like 4 out of 7 years or something like that.
Yep.
He won Best Album.
Mid-70s.
In the 70s. Yep. In the 70s, like from 72 to I think from 78, he won Album of the Year 4 times, right?
I think it was like 3 or 4 times, something like that.
I think it was like 3 times in like 5 years, and then I think he won a couple years later because I think Songs in the Key of Life won. I think too. I think that was the last one.
It was the last one. Right? He might have got one for Hotter in July, but I know Songs in the Key of Life was the last one in the 70s.
Right. That's what I mean about the 70s run, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so like when you go back and listen to the integrity of the music, it's like, oh, well, it matches. And see what happens when you don't audit the integrity of the music properly. Well, even the artists themselves kind of lose respect. And so this show has become like a lot of like marketing and branding and grandstanding and very, very little about the music, quality of music and quality of artists. And so what you're seeing is that unfurl on multiple levels where you see once again, the appropriation of Jack Harlow sneaking in, the co-signage and the welcoming to it.
Yeah, it's like, man, you can't Wayne do a performance by yourself. Wayne and Brandy have to come up and save you. Yeah, and then BET pretty much owned by white people, essentially. It's Black Entertainment Television. It's owned by white people, And so, like, all these things happen, and they start kind of, like, breaking themselves down, kind of like, like an enzyme. Well, this is the thing, too, man, and there's a whole lot of places to go with that. Let me get to this super chat. Michael Williams says, Stillmatic intro, a Dynasty intro. Dynasty intro. But, all right, this is where I'm going to go with this, man. BET doesn't play any original content anymore, right? It's nothing but reruns. So you have to think, what's the staff's day-to-day like? Or is there even a staff in their day-to-day? It doesn't take too many people to press a button and say, Fresh Prince is running, or, we're going to run Medea or whatever. So the only thing they have to focus on, really, for the whole year is the BET Awards. And with that being said, from a production standpoint, from a sound standpoint, a lot of that stuff was not on point. And that's unfortunate. Yes.
You and I believe last year around this time talked about how we needed to start like really thinking of a game plan about. I believe the point that I referenced last year around this time was that whoever's in charge that's our age need to be walked out of the building and given a nice severance package and find other work. And the people who are like 20 to 25 to even 30 that are in the building need to be hired, or the talent needs to be acquired to kind of reformat and regurgitate this product if you're going to continue to feed it to the masses, because it's really not an award show for music. It's like, that's what I mean. Somebody kind of,
well, it's not a network for music anymore,
like,
though.
Like if this is like the media, like in marketing and branding awards, like let's make it that and format it to that. If this is like the Instagram challenge, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like who got the most followers and likes? Because I mean, that's essentially what it's turned into, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that as long as you want to call a spade a spade.
But at that point, with it losing that purpose, like you said, that's a whole nother brand. I think that not just BET, and I mean, I kind of started off my little tangent with this. I think a lot of award shows need to just be, discontinued altogether. And like you said, it might need to just be something new, something else. But this isn't a music network anymore, and you can even see by the performances that most of these people, the new and established, they sounded bad, man. And I love Jodeci. You know how I feel about Jodeci. I love Mary. These people didn't sound like they were, even Puff, when he was performing, like, they didn't sound like they were performing in front of millions and millions of viewers on television. Like, it was sloppy. Kim came out there, like, not knowing the words. It was bad, man. And it was like, I'm sitting there looking at it like, are people, inebriated or something? Like, or they, like you said, just not taking this serious. Now, I don't know who to blame more for that. Is it BET or current staff and whoever's putting this together? Because you do have to create boundaries and create standards for people who are there. But even the newer artists that were performing, I mean, they might have been nervous. I mean, the sound was off a lot of times. One guy got caught lip syncing. It was...
This is what I mean. Okay. I'm sorry.
Hey, Jack Harlow couldn't even do the electric slide out there. I mean, it shouldn't be that, It shouldn't be that.
Okay, so this is what I mean when I say that they're not thinking and that they need to get somebody who is thinking. But I mean, there needs to be a way of rebranding and marketing this. First of all, let's address the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they have these seating arrangements set up at these award shows, it's like the shit that our grandmothers watched. I told you, Mike, they need to change these seating arrangements, like get some high top and like high stool chairs, like with some wet ice bars. They need to make this sexy. All right? Like they need to make it look good and attractive to people, like they want to be there. It's like, because here's the reality of the matter. It's like for real, if you're a hip hop fan, here's what you know. It's like, well, Jay and Nas ain't pulling up in the front row neck anymore and like sitting and chilling. So you have no reason to want to like sit in those seats. They need to change literally the aesthetic and architectural layout of how the seating arrangements are designed in these shows. And quite frankly, even though I know it's supposed to be a room of charismatic people and personalities, but you kind of need to separate the real personalities to keep the party going too. It's like, Kevin Hart and Cat Williams need to be seated on opposite sides of the room. Not because they got a problem, but because of who they are personality-wise and because of how they can galvanize the situation just off of them being there in a certain placement. So even placement is important. They're not thinking. We live in a culture. It's like literally when they're doing these rollouts of the names, what really should be happening is they should pull up their Instagram profile and they should go through the variety of pictures while they're talking about the person. And then if they win, they should pick like the best picture or the most like picture that they have on Instagram and show that while they're coming up to get the award. Little shit like that. Stuff
But
that I
see,
can literally pick up. Stuff that I can think of off the top of my head while we're having this show. I'm
but
not
see,
saying
you know
fire
what?
everybody involved because I'm not for people losing their jobs. You get what I'm saying, though? They're
I
not
get
even
what you're
thinking
saying.
about
Let me play devil's advocate, though. Let me play devil's advocate. You're talking
Go ahead.
about catering television to people who don't watch television. And that's a problem. I just say do away with the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, award shows don't even have a place anymore. It's something else that needs to be out there.
No, I told you reformat it and turn it into something else if you're going to do it, though. That's
But
what
it's
I
still
mean.
going to
Like,
be on
like,
TV, right? I mean, because
how about this? Make it the ultimate social media engagement mixer live on television. You feel what I'm saying? Like damn the award show part of it, because it's essentially a mixer. You know what it is? We be making all the like aftermath and Rock Nation brunch like jokes. That's essentially what it is, though.
it is.
You feel what I'm saying?
It is.
It's essentially just that now. It's like, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, call a spade and freak it right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no, get some hot tops, get some ice bars. Like, no, make this sexy if that's how we doing it. Have little shots and little fruit cups flying down for people to grab and snatch up, and like, no. Like, we kicking it, we partying, ain't it? Ain't we? We making it look good. That's that social media culture, right? Well, then let's do that. Let's do that right and make it fly.
I think
if we're gonna do it, I want to sit next to this nigga all night, not to win. And to win an award, it don't matter. No, I'm not coming.
You know, I think the thing
I'd rather
is
go
too,
to the
man.
Rock Nation brunch.
I think the thing is too, though, Coop, and there's no way around it.
Passed around.
It's no way around it. Like, you're on a network that doesn't play music anymore, so it's like, how are we actually quantifying anything? You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean? Listen to what you're saying, though. Like,
I'm just saying, like, you can't
anymore.
even quantify or qualify the award show. Like, what's supposed to get people interested in a show that, you know, doesn't even have. This is the payoff, right? Like, I would say let's look at the BET Awards or any award show. That's like the finals, right? This is the payoff. This is the championship. How you gonna have a championship with no regular season? How you gonna have a final exam without a regular class or a regular course?
Oh, is that a question? Was that rhetorical? Or were
I'm
you
just
gonna answer
saying,
your own
that's
question?
what it is.
Okay. Oh, that was a valid question.
I mean, you just can't. I mean, the thing is, like, what the award show was designed for in the first place was to award people who got played on that network that played music. And if you're no longer playing music, I mean, what are these awards for, and who are they? How are they being quantified?
Social media mixer. It's a social media mixer.
Well, that's more of a YouTube awards.
Let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
that's
YouTube
what I'm
already
saying.
does that. YouTube already does an award show.
Okay. Well, let BET know.
Yeah.
Me and Mike will pull up. I'm gonna coordinate the event. Mike will be the diplomatic host.
You got it. I'm out.
I promise I'm not gonna snap on nobody.
I don't believe in award shows. I don't think they have a purpose now. I mean, I think you still believe in them. I don't believe in award shows. I think that the Oscars and the Grammys
don't believe in them, Mike, because they're not going to let me host, so you're going to have to host. So if you're out, I'm kind of out too. They're going to be like, we're not going to let this host.
No, I'm saying they don't have a purpose. You can't quantify it. Like, they have like 1 million nominees, and like it was one award. It felt like it was like 8 nominees. I don't know.
It's very problematic.
But anyway, the performances were very subpar, unfortunately. But I think that one of the things that...
Okay, so if you want to, like, pick nits, you know, the performances are the most problematic part of all this because...
Yeah, because that's what it's supposed to be for anyway, really.
And there was a time where it's like, even when the award was losing its integrity, the performance aspect of it had, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, didn't like Usher or Chris Brown come from the ceiling one time at one of these things? And like, sir, like, you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Didn't Beyonce get in a cage one time up on here? You feel what I'm saying?
She's done a lot, you know, and she's opened up the show. I remember she opened up with Deja Vu. And, but again, man.
Okay. And so this is what I mean when you miss moments and opportunities. Do you remember when Beyonce opened the Grammys with Prince.
Mm-hmm.
I think they sang the Beautiful Ones, wasn't it? The Beautiful Ones.
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was the Beautiful Ones. BET don't have nothing like that. They don't got no smoke like that. You know
Well,
what I'm
I don't know
saying?
about
Like
that.
they
No,
need
no, no,
some.
no, no, no. I'm not going to give you that. Michael Jackson and James Brown were on stage together at
In
the
my back of my
BET
mind, I'm
Awards.
thinking the Michael Jackson James Brown thing.
Yeah.
But wasn't that kind of like impromptu freestyle and not playing? You feel what I'm saying? Like, because here's what I remember
Well, I
about
mean,
the Beyonce Prince thing.
no.
It's like them things. No.
Michael never just
These
pops up
motherfuckers came
somewhere.
up
That
out the
was
risers,
playing.
Mike. It's like they started levitating and shit. I was like, what the fuck going on? I was like, they got these niggas levitating. I was like, this is amazing.
No,
like,
man.
They'll never do this shit on BET.
No. I disagree with you. I think when Michael Jackson pulled up on James Brown, I don't think there's any award show has ever topped that. Period.
No. But that's what I'm saying.
That's like the biggest moment in award show history.
That's no. Those are the type of things that BET did not plan for, because you can't incite the type of behavior and love that Michael Jackson has inside of himself for James Brown and the true excitement. Like BET can't qualify or quantify or stage or write something for that moment. So that's
I don't think you're giving them enough credit.
Listen to what I'm saying. That moment is more unto the uniqueness of how Mike feels about James Brown and who James Brown really is, and how all people should react that way. But if we're talking about set up stage performance, like, I'm talking about the show. I'm not talking about the people, Mike. I'm talking about the people that put the shows together. I'm talking about how it looks.
Oh, you're talking about that? Job. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I'm talking about the production job of
a lot of the times.
Like there's no fucking with Mike.
I don't want to make excuses for BET like that, because I don't know the particulars. But I would imagine when you talk about production and those type of things, budgets come into play, and I would imagine BET probably gets a lower budget than all the other award shows.
You need to get your weight up, not your hate up. Get your weight up, not your hate up.
Well, I mean, it's not, it's not a get your weight up thing. No, it's television. Cool. They're in the television atmosphere.
Let me finish. Why don't they have that money? Because they haven't done their job.
I disagree with you.
Hold on, listen to what I'm about to say. Listen to what I'm about to say. They haven't done their job as businessmen and women in commerce properly. Look at the way the black community spends money and disposable income, okay? This is black entertainment television. They have not set up any sort of commerce devices that have black people invested in BET on a capitalistic level to bring them up to that level. The money's right there because it's us. They haven't done anything to capitalize on the commerce. That's not my fault that they have poor organizational business leadership when it comes to capitalistic financing in America. Not my fault.
Well, again, I don't know if it's
that. To white people all the time.
I don't know if it's that, and I don't want to cast those aspersions because I haven't seen their books and I can't really give any evidence or proof to that. But what I will say is, anytime anything caters to a black audience, they narrow their budgets because they're not a mass audience. That's why they talk about the minority, majority, everything. Even if you talk about government spending, even if you talk about money and funds that are allocated to certain groups, they treat black people different. So I couldn't sit here and act like that probably wouldn't be the same concept when it comes to BET and their network as opposed to other networks who don't cater to specifically a black audience. So I don't want to just put that on them that it's mismanagement, because they all have the same advertisers, but I would imagine that their advertisers would be A, a little bit more limited, and B, try to play them because they have black in their name and they're narrowing their audience. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but does everybody else know what you mean?
LP with the super chat says, artists prioritize production value at the Grammys. The Grammys is loaded, though. I think that's a little different. What I was going to say, though, as far as like BET, they planned that James Brown tribute and let him open up that show when other award shows would not. And I would imagine they gave Michael the heads up. This is Michael Jackson. He don't just, roll out of bed and hear something, whatever. They let him know that James Brown was being honored.
That's
and he
not
showed
work.
up.
That's not work or doing your job. That's
That
what I'm
is
saying.
work.
It's like,
What you
if
mean?
all you have to do is tell Michael Jackson that James Brown's getting an award and he's coming, though, Mike. That's not doing any work.
So you
He's
think
like,
it's just
getting
that
an award.
easy? Like
He's
Michael
like,
Jackson's just gonna come?
He's like, what time? What time? Tell the driver. Tell me I'm wrong.
I think you're wrong. I don't think Michael Jackson's schedule is
not
that
about
clear.
James Brown, not the Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson even feels like he got his whole style from James Brown.
Of course, Michael could call James at any time. You know what I'm saying? But even it's not like Michael showed up to everything that James ever did. You know what I'm saying? And that was a great moment. And for me, I prioritize the moments and the people over quote unquote production value, because that's a moment that you can never get. That's priceless. You're never going to get that back. And that was the last time that we saw both of those guys together. And, and I got to give BET credit for that, because no other network did this. And I will never forgive MTV. And, I'm sure people from MTV watch us. I don't know. But I'll never forgive MTV for calling Michael Jackson many things. But when he announced This Is It, they had on MTV.com, former King of Pop, Michael Jackson, announces This Is It tour. And then, this was in May of 2009. And as soon as Michael drops dead, King of Pop, Michael Jackson is dead. And ever since then, I was like, man, fuck MTV. So I don't care what their production value and all that shit looks like. At least BET open their doors and let our icons share that stage for one last time, because we never knew that it was going to go down like that. LP with the super chat says the Grammys ain't letting you do some BS on stage. So BET allows it, and artists always treat what's outside of the culture better than what's in. Now, I do agree with that. I think that the performances were lackluster, and you got to put that on BET. And I did say this at the beginning. They don't have any original shows anymore. They don't have to put together a 106 in Park 5 days a week. They don't have to put together a Rap City 5 days a week. All they have to do is focus on one award show the whole year. And this is what you put together. Now, that is a problem.
You had one job.
You had one job. 365 days. 365 days catered to this one event. Imagine if we had a full staff and there was one event that we're doing, and the whole year you have to center around this event and make sure this event's tight. It sounds like, or it looked like, they put this shit together in a month. That I have a problem with.
Not even.
Now, those aren't budget issues. That's just, some of that stuff, some of those performances.
I told you last year, though, whoever's in charge just needs to severance package.
We need great performers. That's another thing. You can't
get great. You have to do great intel firt.
You know who does a good job?
Like BET used to be great at building relationships because they had original content shows.
Yeah.
That it made sense for artists to go on and buy into.
Yep, I agree with that.
Okay, so let's go to a hip hop thing with it. Like Jay and Rockefeller used to live on 106. Nas never showed up until after the Ether thing. You feel me?
Yeah.
And when he showed up, it was like almost like seeing a ghost. Like it mattered. Those things mattered. I was just watching the David Letterman's interview with Will Smith, which is before he smacked Chris Rock. By the way, when you make Pootie Tang, like somebody's gonna randomly walk up and slap the shit out of you one day. Like
I saw that interview. They put like a disclaimer up there. Like,
they did. I didn't like the disclaimer.
No, the disclaimer was like, this was before the slap or whatever. That's what the disclaimer was. But go ahead with your thought. I'm sorry.
No. You made me lose my whole thought when you said that.
You were talking about Will being on Letterman.
Well, hold on, because he was referencing something like in a hip hop context. I forgot. Keep running.
Will's a pioneer in hip hop. Chris is asleep with the super chat. We appreciate the love. He says, "Sup, y'all? About to head to work. Hope y'all having a blessed day. Just want to ask your thoughts. Were see what your thoughts were. Excuse me. The Affirmative Action remix over the Hard to Handle sample. Dope joint. Cheers. Haven't checked that out. I'm gonna check that out. And cheers to you as well, Chris. Clayton is asleep. Did I say Chris is asleep? I know somebody named Chris Clayton.
Clayton.
Yeah,
Clayton
it's Clayton. Yeah. I think I said Chris at first. Clayton is asleep. Be showing love. But yeah, man. I agree with you 100% as far as like the parameters and just being able to set a standard. And I do think the BET needs to do better at that. And you're right. Those shows the BET used to have, not only did they develop a relationship with the audience, but they developed a relationship with the network, and it gave them some chops to go on where it was like, this ain't my first time performing on TV. You know what I mean? Now, I will say this. The Soul Train Awards, those performances are good. Are we turning into a time where R&B performers are just much better than rap performers?
That's the point that I was making.
Yeah.
Will Smith was talking about how the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actually happened because he was hanging out at the Arsenio Hall show.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And so there was a time where it's like, well, black talk shows and black award shows and like it mattered in the culture, but we made it viable and made it matter. And if it doesn't matter anymore, it's like we just need to do the next thing because that's what everybody else does,
Well, that's what we always do. We always coming up with new stuff.
So why are we still sitting in these tight ass seats and like Hov and Nas ain't in front sipping no more? Don't nobody care. My head, Mike. Don't care.
LP with the super chat says BET in the early 2000s, like most of the culture, when they sold out to corporate interests. Same with Def Jam, Rockefeller, and all the clothing brands. I want to address that too, because the thing is, I always hear people talk about, BET selling, and, Bob Johnson gets a lot of that because, he's the founder and, of BET, right? He held on to BET for 20 years. When he started BET, the first video played on BET was Earth, Wind, and Fire's Let's Groove, I think it was, yeah. And that's the type of stuff that inspired him to start BET. And so when BET became more of a hip-hop infused entity, I guess you could say, and R&B was very hip-hop influenced, is it possible that he lost a little bit of that passion for what he was doing on that level? And not to mention, when somebody comes with a $1 billion, buyout proposition, and you don't take it, and then they go out there and start a whole nother network, are we disciplined enough to say, you know what? I'm not going to support this network that Viacom's starting up. I'm going to watch BET.
No, we're not disciplined enough to do that.
If you don't take the money and then they start something that takes you out, and all the people that that were working for you, on BET, end up working for this new network, then your evaluation goes down. What was he supposed to do exactly?
No, he did what he was supposed to do. I don't think anybody's really mad at Bob Johnson. Let's go to what some of Bob Johnson's aesthetic is, though, just musically.
Mm-hmm.
His big pull, at least in my estimation, was getting Donnie Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
Donnie Simpson, I believe, was the biggest radio DJ in Washington, D.C., Chocolate City.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, Sherry Carter was big, too.
Huh?
I said Sherry Carter was a big pull, too.
Sherry's big, but Donnie precedes Sherry in terms of pulling of the big fish. Yeah. And I'm pretty certain pulling Donnie had something to do with pulling Sherry, because it's like, oh, well, you got Donnie, and Donnie's the man and a legend when he's stepping into BET in local black radio in DC. You get what I'm saying?
Ed Gordon, too. He's another one that's in that class of Ed Gordon.
Yes.
He was another one that was in that class. That's his demo. And when these guys start getting phased out of his network, he probably lost a little bit of interest. That's
what I'm trying to say. The people, when he was invested, Oh, well, those are the people he was invested into. Those were the big DJs that had the big followings that played the type of music that he grew up on,
Yeah.
the music that he followed, the music that he loved. That's why I went to Donnie specifically, because I think Donnie was his first big catch
Yeah.
that enabled him to kind of catch everything else, because Donnie had DC on lock as a DJ.
And
You feel me?
Tavis Smiley's another one. Like, just from that other,
Yes.
journalistic standpoint, these are his guys.
Right. Those
Yeah.
are his hitters.
Yeah.
That's his squad.
Yeah.
So his squad's getting phased out about what? Somewhere between 98 to 02?
Yep.
Well, there you go. Because it's like
I think anybody would do it.
He might love Free and AJ in 106 in part.
But it's just not his era.
And he loves the numbers more than he loves them. So don't let them numbers differ. Don't let them want to leave and do other stuff. You feel me? So even those people who were winning, like Free and AJ, hits in the street. Remember, what's her name? The little computer chick? Remember when things started going digital?
Cedar's World.
Cedar's World. We went digital on them. We went digital on them early. BET was ahead of the curve with that.
Yo, who was at the
digital show?
Who was the host of Planet Groove, man? She was sexy, man. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Ooh.
Somebody in the chat let me know. Mad Max with the super chat said R&B artists.
Keep your head down, Mike.
Mad Max with the super chat says R&B artists can't even sing on stage. Laughing my ass off. Rap artists still perform better than them. Do they? And I don't know if the sonics actually translate, but you're right. Some of these, R&B singers, you can't do the auto-tune on stage. Was it Eliza Michelle? And then they had the Caribbean Rhythms with Rachel and all that stuff.
Caribbean Rhythms with Rachel. That's what I'm saying. Like, no, they was out here pulling talent. And hold on. And here's what I'm saying. Oh, the talent wanted to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Feel me? Because they had viable reason to. That's what I'm saying. It's like, no. Donnie made Sherry want to be there. Tavis Smiley, Ed Gordon. It's like, no, if you're in Black lexicon, culture, music, literature, journalism, people that use literary devices, Leroy. Right. It's like, no, this is where you want to be. This is home. They top 20. It's like, think about it. It's like you would see something like remember Video Soul, the top 20 countdown?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, like you had rap records and R&B records on there at the same time. Yep. They were showing love. They were acknowledging game.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They were bringing the artist on. It's like that was the first time I saw Aaliyah do an interview.
Yeah. Those moments, man. And and I think that if they want to continue to do the award show thing, right? I think that these networks need to find out a way, and I know it's going to sound crazy, find out a way to play music on your network again. And like you said, have those moments where you saw Aaliyah for the first time, or I remember Destiny's Child being on BET and MTV Jams, because shout out to Bill Bellamy. He was like one of those guys on MTV that should have been on BET. You know what I mean?
MTV Jams. I watched MTV Jams just because it's like, I was like, oh, they're going to play some rap. They're going to play some R&B. Bill Bellamy going to tell a couple jokes. All right, I'm cool.
Yeah, Bill was cool. You know what I'm saying? It was like those summers where, you would hear whatever Naughty by Nature had out. Feel Me Flow and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I remember Feel Me Flow on MTV Jams because they would do the jam of the week. Feel Me Flow was the jam of the week. I remember just like you do. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like it was the background music or something too.
Yeah, but I remember when Feel Me Flow came out, it was the jam of the week as soon as it came out. They previewed it. I remember even Feel Me Flow was the jam of the week on MTV, and it was like, remember how Rap City Top 10 would preview a song?
Yep.
The week before it would probably make an entry. So I remember seeing Feel Me Flow on BET and MTV. I was like, oh, Naughty's back.
And see, the thing is, though, man, where we're at right now is you got networks that really aren't thriving on music being played, and they're just playing reruns of old 90s sitcoms. And then you got artists that are putting out music videos that aren't getting any traction or any views because no one knows that they're out. You know what I'm saying? Did you see, and I'm not saying that this is something that people ain't seen, but I don't know if you saw the Conway and Jill Scott video yet.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Now, you know how much that would help that record if these networks still play music videos?
Okay, so that's the type of record that with her, that if this is, how about this? If this is 2005 and they do this same song and record and video, he becomes a star because of it.
Yeah. It's hard to create stars. It's really hard to
create. One record. Because the record's there. The chemistry's there. The video's there. This would be one of those records that should make him a star.
This should be on 106 in Park, right?
This would be on 106 in Park.
I agree. And you know, it's crazy because during that era, and maybe that was just me being on some, you know, bullheaded rap shit, I felt like around 2003, 2004-ish, music really got watered down. I would even say 2002. And to the point where everything that was being played on BET was just, they playing the same old stuff. You had a countdown show with the same songs being played, same 10 songs every day, and everything that was about to get in the countdown sounded like stuff that was on the countdown. And now we're at a place where there's a lot of really good music out there, and it's nowhere to display it in those arenas. They got to train people's minds again to actually care about seeing music on television again. And I think there's room for it. I think the morning time, there's room for it. Because people ain't waking up in the morning.
No, you want to know why there's room for it? Because, and I say this respectfully, well, that was in a time where radio would play everything. And now radio's gotten more contrived, but everything is digital and visual now. And so what really BET and MTV and all these places are really missing is that you all need to become the new radio station, but with videos. And that would get the artists to buy in. If artists knew...
Personalities included.
No. If an artist knew somewhere, it's like, if I do a dope record in a dope video, like exactly. Chanel Pearls, Conway and Jill Scott, if I do this record...
Yep.
I know that if I hit the mark with this record in terms of the quality of the record, because the record's the quality, it's not just that the video's dope, it's a dope song.
Yeah.
You know, it has people arguing. It's like, yo, did Jill got more bars than Conway on it? You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like, if he knew that there was a place for him to go do that and get seen more, he would do that more.
There's no targets. You know what I'm saying? There's no people are sitting there in the studio creating with no targets to aim at.
Hold on. Revolt's not that. Revolt does not do a good job of that.
This is my thing with Revolt, and I love everybody, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to talk shit. The thing about Revolt is everything that's on Revolt is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand how it's even a network, because anything that you see on Revolt, you can pull up on YouTube. I mean, they don't have like original episodes or anything like that. LP with the super chat says, so Bob said, this isn't my music. Let me sell it to Viacom. What happened to passing it down? Staying in the culture. Am I missing something, y'all saying? I think what you might be missing, LP, that I'm saying is when the person who has this $1 billion and unlimited check to buy you out can sit there and start another network to compete with you and take out all of your employees and have them working for you, then yeah, they can take you out in that way. It's almost like one of those things where like, look, you either sell us this land or we'll find a way to get you off of it for real.
Correct. So you have to understand. So he's
and Barry Gordy had to deal with this with Motown, by the way, too. I mean.
So let's unpack this real quick, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works. And this is why I'm saying there's no problem with Bob Johnson with all of this. And I get what LP is saying. Let's go big picture. When you're the first one, what you really have to do is find a way, no matter what way, to enable the next person. Let me tell you something about how this nation works. Wherever you make your bones as a black man, they're never going to let you eat off of it like it should. People forget what Bob Johnson did with that Viacom check. He went and bought the Charlotte Hornets. And who did he pass the Charlotte Hornets down to?
Exactly. He made Michael Jordan deservingly. So when you're
talking about a power move, understand that this is checkers and not chess. They weren't going to let him have that and hold that. He took the money and then he went and bought something else, and he did pass that on to a black man. Yes, he did.
Yeah, and he made Michael Jordan the only black owner in pro sports.
To this day.
This is Michael Jordan. I think we've talked about this before. Michael Jordan has made the NBA so much money. And not even just the NBA. Any athlete that's getting any kind of endorsements, they owe Michael Jordan credit for that, right? It took for Bob Johnson to start a BET, hold on to it for 20 years, sell it to Viacom, create a team from scratch in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yes.
Name it after himself.
Bobcats.
Yeah, and sell it to Michael Jordan for Michael Jordan to be the only black owner, in pro sports. Now the Wizards promised him.
This is not conjecture. I want everybody to understand. This is not conjecture. Me and
This
Mike are
is
not
what
making
happened.
this up.
Yeah.
This happened.
And what also happened, Michael Jordan went out there and came out of retirement and played for the Wizards for 2 years because they promised him ownership and lied to him.
Just to get their weight up. He didn't even want to play. He played 2 years because they promised him a piece of the pie to get their weight up. And when he realized he wasn't going to get a piece, he fell back.
Yep. And Bob Johnson, seeing all of that, he built the Bobcats for Michael Jordan to own it.
Correct.
So I have no problem with any of that. So like you said, you pass it. That's passing it down.
Paving the way. Yeah. And here's another little known fact. You know what Michael Jordan has done with that people don't talk about? Employed a ton of people within the Charlotte organization who happen to share the same skin tone and color as he do. As a matter of fact, you're going to be hard pressed to find a basketball organization that has more black employees in position of power than the Charlotte Hornets. How did that happen?
Yeah, exactly. Ownership. And you know what? There's nobody, I can't think of any other than Tyler Perry. I would say Tyler Perry, Bob Johnson, and Michael Jordan employ more black people on executive levels than anybody.
Yes.
And that's just what it is. And they're here to do that, and that's how they roll. And I respect it.
But
not to mention the Jordan brand.
But hold on. But let's understand how groundbreaking and important BET was. So let's go to, remember the original Batman? You know I'm a big Prince fan. Mm-hmm. Do you know the first time I saw the video to Party Man off of the Batman soundtrack?
It was on BET?
It's on BET.
Yeah.
The world premiere on BET on Video Soul. I remember they had a special time that they were showing the Prince video from the Batman soundtrack, Party Man. See, Bob Johnson had enough pull in the black community because of what he did to showcase artists and put artists on. And Prince was a progressive enough thinker, even in 1989, understanding that he had the whole Batman soundtrack from Warner Brothers, the label he was signing to, at his disposal. Who could give that premiere to?
Yep. Well,
you see what I'm saying
about
how when you feed your people feed you that. People forget stuff like that. When Prince got the Batman soundtrack, BET got the world premiere, not MTV, not some white people. Bob Johnson got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? All that being said, Lil Nas X has the nerve to piss on a BET
And this
award.
Is what you pissing on? You pissing on something Prince used to like world premiere.
You're a clown.
But you don't know your history. But you don't know. I can't even be mad at him. He don't know his history, Mike.
I think, you know what? I'm more so mad at the people not being outraged from him doing that and checking him. See, these are the things that happen where things don't get unchecked and shit just gets disarray.
He don't get checked. He get Jack Harlow wearing a short for him like he's somebody we should be championing.
Yeah, I guess Jack Harlow's cool with a BET award being pissed on too, and then gets on stage at the award attempting to do the electric slide with background dancers, having Wayne and Brandy save his show. Man, please.
Welcome to the barbecue.
Man, ain't no barbecue. Barbecue. I don't know who told people barbecues exist, but they don't.
It's more of a cookout, actually. Call it a kickback now.
Well, the cookout, whatever, yeah.
It's more of a kickback
Listen, man. Listen. Everybody's invited to the cookout. How about that? Anyway. Man, where do we go from here?
I'm around here.
Oh, this is where I wanted to go. Did you see Kanye show up at the BET Awards? What did you think about that?
I didn't think about that, but do you want to talk about it?
You know, it feels like, and it's funny, man, because this is Babyface, right? Babyface, super legend, probably the greatest songwriter of all time, really. When we look at the catalog, it's ridiculous.
Do you think he's the greatest songwriter of all time?
I think in terms of writing for others, yes. I think
Yes,
that
writing for others, yes.
I think that
Sometimes I
Prince.
often wonder that it's like, did he empty his clip like on everybody else outside? Because if you look outside of his like Whip Appeal album with like Never Keeping Secrets and Whip Appeal and like all that, because I think he wrote Ready or Not he wrote for After 7 too, because his brother was in the group. Like he wrote like Ready or Not, I think too.
Yeah, he wrote all that. I mean, he was John Stockton with it, man. He was giving assists, man. So
no, he's better than John Stockton. You stop that.
John Stockton's the greatest assister of all time. What do you mean? There's nobody better than John Stockton in that arena.
Magic Johnson's a better assister.
He might have made it look better, but there's no way. Listen. I hear you. I feel you. But John Stockton's assist record is never going to be broken. And we just got to deal with that. We just got to deal with it.
You've seen Magic Johnson with the ball in his hand, Mike. It's not like you're 30.
No, I feel you. I've seen it. But I also see that this guy.
You've seen it live.
I also see that this guy, he has a record that's never going to be broken.
So how many rebounds did Will average for his career?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think it's 23.
Something like that.
Is it 23? Something absurd like that?
Yeah. If he's the greatest
rebounder ever, of all time, or do they call 6'8" Dennis Rodman the greatest rebounder of all time?
I mean, depends on
who you take.
I think
I'll tell you, Barkley's a better rebounder than Wilt, pound for pound, at his size.
We're not gonna let you dump on Wilt this show. I'm sorry. I think that the thing about Wilt,
Barkley was 6'4",
and I don't like talking about Wilt.
Rebound seasons at 6'4".
I don't like talking about Wilt.
People were actually 7 feet tall, legitimately at center on all the teams.
I feel you, but that doesn't make him a better rebounder. But I feel you. But what I'm gonna say about Wilt, I don't think it's fair for us to judge Wilt in any context because none of us actually saw him play.
It's true.
We're just going off of what we've seen on numbers, man. It ain't fair. I've seen
It's hard to judge Oscar Robertson because of that. Because I was actually thinking we keep having this Steph Isaiah like talk, and it's like, man, we don't even talk about Oscar because we didn't get to see Oscar. You understand? This man
it ain't fair.
He averaged a triple-double the year my mother was born.
Exactly. LP with the super chat says, all that. And we think Bob would have failed with BET. All that, and we think Bob would have failed with BET. No, I think it's a success story. Because at the end of the day,
success story. Big success.
At the end of the day, even outside of what Bob did, and everything that we were just talking about with Michael Jordan and how he became the owner of the Bobcats, think about how many people were able to build their empires off of the platform that BET was. And like I said, if BET doesn't come along, MTV's not playing black artists like that, especially not no rap shit.
Never.
That's not happening.
Hold on. MTV
They were forced. They were forced to play
MTV
black
Jams,
music because of BET.
MTV Jams exists because like BET started winning.
Yeah, MTV Rap.
That's what I mean. Like
exists because of Rap City.
Like Prince doing that whole Batman thing. Like that's what I'm saying. That's one of those turn the tide type of moments where they're like, hold on, Prince gave BET a whole. People forget Prince was on MTV, one of the first artists on MTV too, like 1999.
Yeah.
Your Little Red Corvette. It's like, no, they were giving him run. So when he did that, they were kind of like, hold on, what? Like, we play Prince. Like, we love you. He's like, yeah, I'm black. Fuck you.
This is the thing, man. Even though Prince, and Rick James had a back and forth or whatever, Prince saw how artists like Rick James and other black artists were being treated. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't playing their records, and at that time, or they weren't playing their videos at that time, they didn't have anywhere else to go to get their shit played. So when BET opened their doors and they were playing their stuff, it's like MTV's like, well, shit, for the ratings, we need to go ahead and start playing these black artists. Because if BET never would have came around, they would have kept that barrier up as long as they could. What I was going to say, though, about Kanye. Babyface is out there introducing Puff. And it seems like Ye just came out of nowhere. I don't think he was supposed to be there. I think he just popped up. It didn't seem like that was in the script. They showed some footage of him just totally ignoring the teleprompter. And he was just speaking his stuff. And I will say this.
People are getting on you about saying Yo MTV was out before Rap City.
No, it wasn't.
Yo MTV Raps is not before Rap City?
No, it's not.
I think it is, Mike. I think by about maybe. I think maybe by about like 15 months, maybe. I think there's like a 15 or 18 month.
I'm telling y'all, it's not. Let's look it up.
No, because remember, Fab Five Freddy had a whole lot to do with that. Because Fab Five Freddy was a renowned graffiti artist.
I understand
kind
that.
Of like,
he was around. You know,
Fab Five Freddy was low key, kind of like Puff before Puff to a lot of people. You know that, right?
He was.
Like, yeah.
So you
like
know
Fab
what?
Five
I think you guys are right. It was '89 when Rap City came about, and Yo came out in '88. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's what I said. It's like a 15
You know what?
I think
I'm thinking about something else. I'm thinking about Comic View or something because I think they were saying
it's not a big gap, Mike. I remember it. It was like a 15-month gap.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I appreciate y'all correcting me because I don't want to be out here inaccurate on this microphone. But yeah, it was 89, 88. Because I think the first video, and we could look this up too, I think the first video ever played on Yo MTV Rap was Follow the Leader. So when I think so. Y'all tell me if I'm right in the chat. George Williams, because he said he remembers. He said it was October 1988. Was the first video Follow the Leader? So I'm not a complete ignoramus, you know what I mean? But yeah, Kanye.
Go ahead.
I love the fact that Kanye was giving Puff his props, man. And I like some of the things that Kanye said about Puff. When Puff calls, you know, he answers because, you know, some of the things that Puff did, he broke down a lot of barriers, broke a lot of rules when it came to hip hop. And, you know, I think that it's an interesting choice for Kanye to go out there and speak on Puff, but from producer to producer, I dig it. And I'm glad he came out there in his own Kanye way. Now, we're going to get to this a little later, too. I know Puff is really involved in politics and was talking all this black stuff and this black unity and yada, yada. I don't want to say yada, yada like I don't believe him, but I wonder if he's going to support Kanye for president. I just want to know. Jay Short with the super chat says, if either of you played in the 6th grade league now as an adult, could you average 50 and 20 or score 100 in a game? Respect, Will. I agree. I don't give a fuck who you're playing against. Not to mention, he got 55 rebounds on Bill Russell.
I care. All y'all keep saying that competition matters. I care.
100 points?
Barry Bonds hit Randy Johnson and Greg Maddox and
well, he's the greatest ever, though. You know what I'm saying?
And he hit some of the greatest pitching ever, too. That's part of why he's the greatest.
I understand what you're saying, Coop, and you're consistent with that. But you got people out here who will sit here and gawk over Babe Ruth, who didn't even play against players of other races, and talk shit about Wilt when Wilt came 40 years after Babe Ruth. So if we're going to talk about, you know, that whole competition thing, we got to keep that consistent all around.
No, I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't even be talking about Babe Ruth then, because Babe Ruth came like 40 years before Wilt.
I don't talk about Babe Ruth, though. You know how I feel
about Babe I'm saying you're consistent with yours. But I'm just saying in general.
Anybody that looks like us or that hablo español? Well, if the answer is no in English and in Espanol, then fuck your team.
But like I said, in general, we seem to pull that card out whenever we're talking about Wilt, but nobody ever says that about Babe Ruth. Ever.
I say it about Babe Ruth all the time.
You do. I'm not talking about you.
He doesn't even count to me as a top 10 player because he didn't hit anybody black or brown. Period.
But
he don't count. Neither does Ty Cobb. And they both racist.
Nas the GOAT says,
right. They both racist on top of it. You can keep all that. And them.
Nas the GOAT says, Mike, Wilt had horrible finals games, though. You know what? I think you've been looking at Chris Bouchard's podcast. Let me pull that in context, right? I went and looked up those games that Chris Bouchard was talking about. And you know who was on his team? Elgin Baylor. And it was the Logo. And the Logo was getting all the shots.
Oh, you talking about, hold on, are we talking about like the Jerry West Elgin Baylor Lakers that he played on?
Yeah. And so what Wilt did in those horrible games.
Wilt wasn't a passer by then. Wilt was a passer because he played with Elgin Baylor and Jerry West, who were both volume shooters. How about this? Jerry West.
Let me finish my point real quick. Those horrible games you're talking about, where he scored like 5 or 8 points or something, he had like 22 rebounds. So it's clear what he was doing. And and Jerry West had like 40 something in those games. So yeah, I don't think those are quote unquote horrible games. I think they just switched up the game plan. And it was clear it was about Jerry West being the volume shooter, like Coop was saying. My bad, Coop. Go ahead.
No. You're fine. You're perfectly fine. I don't think people understand that, like, Elgin Baylor and Jerry West at the shooting guard and the small forward position are probably the first volume shooters for their position. Both of these guys retired averaging over 25 points a game. And Elgin Baylor's case, retired averaging over 10 rebounds a game. And so these weren't like regular players. This was the first time Wilt played with players, like players. Like, right. I know he played. Is this before Hal Greer? This is after Hal Greer with Philadelphia, right?
Uh-huh.
Right. So Hal Greer is great. He's an all-time great. He is not Jerry West or Elgin Baylor. Wilt is passing the ball because the story on Wilt is that you don't rebound and play defense and do the other things that Bill Russell does to make sure that his team wins.
Yeah.
So as soon as he had somebody comparable to a John Havlicek, a Sam Jones, a Bob Cousy, he did what Bill Russell did, which was rebound and pass the ball and do outlet passes.
And
first.
honestly,
I will give Wilt props for that forever.
If you look at those games and you look at the box scores, and see, that's why I don't like doing this, because you get sportscasters that'll pull some numbers out their ass or whatever, and we're in an analytical age, and nobody saw these games. But if you look at what Russell was putting up in this same series, it was damn near mirroring what Wilt was doing. They weren't scoring a lot, and they were rebounding a lot. Yeah. If you really look into, like, you know, what was going on in those games. But again, if we didn't sit here and see those games, and you just see a finals appearance where Wilt had 6 points, you're like, oh man, he had a terrible game. No, he had Elgin Baylor and Jerry West on his team.
No, when he had some hitters, he did what Russell did. Yeah. When he got him some hitters, he did what Bill Russell did.
Exactly.
I give him that.
007 with the super chat says, don't say Babe Ruth without saying Josh Gibson. Josh Gibson is the greatest power hitter of all time. And y'all know how I feel about Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is the greatest player of all time.
Hey, I got some hip hop head stuff because I've been like keeping my head down, like trying to research this. If somebody can find out the first video that was on Rap City, that'd be great, because you are right. Follow the Leader's the first video shown on Yo MTV Raps. Hold on. That's what I was talking about how you can be super lyrical, but you can be a star. You can be charismatic. You can just make a dope rap record. You can be the person who kicks off a whole rap show era on MTV. Think about how big that is. Follow the Leader. That's not no elementary ass rhyme going on to start off Yo MTV Raps. That's some rap shit if ever there was some rap shit.
Facts. Nas the GOAT says, no excuses. He scored 4 points in 48 minutes. Shaking my head. LP says, Wilt played with them two and only got one ring. Shaking my head.
He played 2 years with them and only got one ring. Elgin Baylor retired. If Elgin Baylor plays, they probably win more rings.
You're talking about another team that has like 4 or 5 Hall of Famers that have continuity and have been playing together for like 10, 11 years. That's tough to beat.
People forget that's the Laker team that went on the 33-game win streak too. The longest win streak ever. That's them.
That's true. And that series
right.
was 7.
So let's I've come on here and talked a lot of stuff about Wilt, but when I've talked about Wilt, I've mostly been talking about the guy that was like a stat pattern. The guy that was in LA was like, he scored only when called upon because he knew he had scores around him. He led the league in assists one year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
He did. He led the league in assists.
They had the longest winning streak ever, if I'm not mistaken, and still that team win-wise is top 4 all time.
I think Golden State might have broken that record. I could be wrong.
No, but if I'm not mistaken, in terms of all-time wins in a season, they're still third.
Yeah.
After Golden State and Chicago.
Yep.
Correct?
Yep.
The 69-win team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they won 69 games. I don't give a fuck when you playing when you win 69 games, Mike.
Exactly.
It's hard. It's 82. You won 69?
And not to mention, man, the other stat when you talk about the motor of somebody like Wilt, he had seasons where he played every single minute of the game.
Somebody just super chatted that. We actually need to bring that up. Wilt was burnt in LA, 48 minutes per game, 7 seasons prior by JB was here. Super chat.
Well, let me get to the super chats real quick. Swain says, all-time greats will be great in any era. That I agree with. Mad Max with the super chat says, Wilt played in an era where the players had the same average height as today's players back then. I'm sorry. Had the same average height as today's players back then get violated. People got to look the rules. Let's see.
Players have gotten shorter again now. We don't have as many.
I was just about to say that. I feel like players now are shorter.
Yeah, because from 85 to like 2000, we wouldn't have said that. You feel me?
Right. Mad Max says, like you wasn't allowed to palm the basketball. If you tell Kyrie you can't palm a basketball, he looks like Oscar and them dribbling with one hand.
True.
JB was here, says Wilt was burnt out in LA. 48 minutes and 7 seasons prior. Yeah, I mean, it's a
Played
lot,
every
man.
minute for 7 straight
He had
seasons.
a lot of miles on him. Well-versed Sessions says Mickey Mantle was a better baseball player than Babe Ruth. Coming from a Yankee baseball fan, the Mantle Mays era, both better by a mile. Yeah, I know Willie Mays is better. Now, Mantle might have been better too because he was a great fielder. I think what they always throw in with Babe Ruth is his pitching career.
Okay.
But again, he was pitching during a time where, you know,
like, how about this is what I'm saying. It's like, oh well, no, if you would have pitched against Jobs Gibson, and it's like your stats against Jobs Gibson would have given credence to something about you being the greatest pitcher of all time, I'd be with it. But what I probably think is that you probably faced Josh Gibson like 20 times, probably like 5 home runs.
Yeah,
6 doubles,
yo,
2 singles, 2
and Babe Ruth
balls.
Babe Ruth. I mean, I know they had like baggy uniforms and stuff. Then he didn't look to be that in shape like that. Bob Gibson
was all the time.
Gibson was ripped, man. Like, Bob Gibson was.
There are pictures,
and there was no steroids like that then. Bob Gibson was like, yeah, it is what it is. This is what I want to go to, though, man. I know we got a lot to cover today. Did you see what was going on with Pete Rock and Puff?
I didn't. When you brought that up, I read one thing, and then I was like, I'm out.
Tabernet with the super chat says, shout out to him from Australia, and shout out to our people internationally as well. Says, love A2HH. Y'all keep keep me sane at work. Did you catch the new Banks in Conway? We got to talk about that Friday. Is Wilt the greatest athlete to play the game? Those track and field numbers are crazy. I think so. And I'm very high on Michael Jordan and his athleticism and LeBron James and his athleticism. But what Wilt was doing as an athlete at a 7'2" stature, it's folklorish. I mean, they said he was out here benching weights with Andre the Giant and shit. Like, he was strong.
He was 7'2", Mike.
That doesn't make you strong.
They were the same.
That don't make you strong. It doesn't. He was dude was ripped.
You know how many people are walking around as tall as Andre the Giant to actually be able to lift weights with him, though? Wilt Chamberlain's one of those people.
I saw a clip, right? And I say this respectfully because Shaq is the biggest we've ever seen. Shaq's 50 now. They showed a picture of Shaq at 50 and Wilt at 50. This nigga look like he's still in the league. And he's out here dunking regulation basketball, playing regulation.
Is more of an athlete than Shaq, but not more of a physical dominating specimen. That's what I'm saying. Shaq physically was imposing in a way that Wilt wasn't. Wilt was just taller than everybody else.
And jumped higher. He wasn't taller. He appeared to be taller because he was strong. That was the thing.
Mike.
No,
he's 7'1". You don't have anybody over 6'9" until
that's not
Wes
true.
Unseld comes around.
I don't like when people say that. That's not true.
Lou Alcindor at the end.
There were 7-footers in the league in that day.
Who?
I can't tell you off top, but there were 7
Dolph Shays? Dolph Shays might have been 7 feet. He's the only one around that time.
He was big, strong.
And Dolph Shays is older than Wilt and Russell, so not for long.
Well, I'll come back with my research and all that, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'll give you a list.
You want to talk
I'll give you a
Kareem at
list
the
of
end?
7-footers that played during Wilt's era.
No, because Wilt is still playing when Kareem comes along, and he actually blocked Kareem's sky hook before, and has an old man.
Shit is crazy.
So I'm not saying like Wilt's not capable. I'm saying is like, well, it's like he played as far as people his height, Kareem at the end. And that's when Kareem was like literally the best player in the league, not Wilt. And that was his only competition at his height.
I think the bigger you are, the more impressive the athleticism is. Because we see a lot of guys
because Shaq was bigger. That's what I'm saying. Like Shaq did things that you're never going to see a 350-pound.
That's what I'm saying. I think
350 pounds in his wife.
That's what I'm saying. I think Shaq's athleticism goes underrated because we kind of look at it as him just being big, but the fact that he was able to do all of that going up and down the court and still be like, I mean, that was Diesel for real too.
Like, how about this?
You got to be an incredible athlete.
You remember the Kobe pass in Game 7 against Portland where he catches the alley?
Yeah.
Okay, Wilt at that size couldn't do that. Okay? That's what I'm telling you. It's like, I don't care about all that.
I disagree with that 100%.
I'm telling you, no, listen to what I'm trying to tell you. I'm telling you this as a lean guy. The weight doesn't weigh on you the same when you're lean. You can do more. Wilt was able to do some of the things because he was lean, not because he was powerful. Shaq was doing powerful and agile things at the same time that Wilt never did because Wilt was never powerful like that because he never had that much weight on him because he was really a slimmer and more agile man. Like body-wise, he's not that different from Bill Russell.
He was much stronger than Bill Russell, though.
He's just bigger. He's just taller, Mike. If you look at their frames, they both have long, lanky, agile frames. It's not like Wilt was some big, wide.
Wilt wasn't lanky. I don't know. Yeah,
he's just tall and wide for his time. He's not Shaq, dude. He
was lifting. He was lifting what Andre the Giant was lifting. Yeah. Oh, I want the people in the chat.
Nate Thurman is not 7 feet tall. He's 6'10".
Oh, let me get to the super chat real quick. Mad Max says Wilt, Dion, Bo, MJ, greatest athletes in that order. I'm with that.
I'll take Bo and Jim Brown over Wilt as an athlete. Actually.
Swain says, shout out to you guys. Best hip-hop podcast out. We appreciate the love.
I'll take Dion as an athlete over him too, man.
You tripping. Mad Max says Nate Thurman is 7 feet. Coop.
Nate Thurman
Wilt played against.
Nate Thurman has not ever been classified as a 7-footer. I want to see this. Like, where that happened?
Let's Google it. We got a Google show going on. I want people to tell me.
I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah.
In 1965.
Also, this is what I want y'all to Google in the chat too.
6 feet 11 inches, like I said.
Oh my God. Okay, all right. This is what I want people to Google in the chat too. Cool. You Google this. How much did Wilt Chamberlain bench press?
Hold on, no. Let's pull up just Wilt's whole height and stats right quick. Wilt was 7'1", first of all. So he's got a clear 2 inches on Nate Thurman, okay? Clear 2 inches.
Okay.
He's 6'11". Hold on, let's go to his weight. 275 pounds. He's got 2 inches and 50 pounds on Nate Thurman. That's what I'm talking about.
No, but see, you sitting here talking about Wilt slender. He was 275, man. Wilt's big, bro.
Hold on, that's what I'm trying to say. So Shaq at the same height was 350.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not saying I'm not saying that. Listen,
no. You're looking at the
look at Bill Russell. Then look up. You compared him to Bill Russell. I never compared him to Shaq.
Bill Russell 6'9", 215. I know that without pulling it up.
Exactly. So they're not the same.
6'9", 215.
They're not the same. They're not the same. You can acknowledge that, right? JB was here, says LeBron
sorry.
is
they got Bill Russell listed at 6'10", which I don't think is accurate. I think he's 6'9".
JB was here, says
they got him at 6'10", 215.
Okay, that's 60 pounds. They're not the same.
That's what I'm saying. So when you're talking about how Wilt looks at 275 pounds at 7'1", understand that's how Shaq looked coming out of college. So Wilt played.
I'm not talking about Shaq. We know Shaq's the biggest force ever. You said Wilt and Russell.
Let's talk about the agility of it. Yeah. Can you remember the things that Shaq could do when he was coming out of college?
No, I agree.
Okay, so
Shaq
Wilt's
was
not like
incredible.
some sort of freak of nature that's never been seen. Because Shaq at that size was more of a beast. And
Well,
Shaq
he
at
no 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 no
350
no no no
pounds
no no.
could
Now,
do
now
things that
see,
Wilt couldn't do.
we're
He's just
not
better and
gonna
more
do
dominant.
that.
And
Cool,
he
cool,
played
cool,
real seven
cool.
footers.
We're
Like he
not
played
cool, cool,
Arvidas Sabonis.
cool.
Arvidas Sabonis
I
was
feel
a
you. I
legit
feel you.
7'2", 285. Rick Smits was 7'4". He played Akeem Olajuwon. David Robinson 7'2".
No, I feel
Tim
you.
Duncan 7
I
feet.
agree with that. But
Shaq played real
Shaq's
seven
not out
footers. You
there.
understand what I'm saying?
Cool, cool.
No,
Shaq's
so
not
when
out
people
there.
talk about him like being this specimen, it's like, well,
Cool,
Shaq played
cool.
against
No,
other
no,
7
no.
foot
They're
specimens.
very different. They're very different. You're not gonna just sit here and say because Shaq is his own individual specimen. Yes, they're not gonna act like Wilt wasn't special. Shaq's not out there doing no
No,
high
but part of
jumps.
why Will is so special
Shaq's
is just
not.
in
No, you're not
relationship to
even
who's
letting me
around.
talk. Shaq's not even not out there doing Olympic gold medalist jumps, man. He's not. Wilt's a 1-on-1. Stuff that Shaq was doing was incredible for his size, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm downing the incredible athlete Shaq was. I think he was very impressive. I think he's more of an impressive athlete than Iverson, Kobe, whoever, because of his size. But Wilt, there's nothing like that. We never seen anything like that. JB was here, says LeBron is like a different perimeter Wilt. What's different? Mad Max says, Coop, Wilt bench like 350 to 500 pounds. You gotta stop with the Wilt's not human, bro. Yeah, man, Wilt's from another place, man. I know
Look
we
here,
got some.
all that stuff that you're talking, had he had to guard somebody like Shaq, you wouldn't be saying any of that because he never had to deal with any of that. He never dealt with any of that. Do you understand that until Kareem showed up, there was not even anybody height-wise comparable to him walking around? Forget the size. There wasn't even anybody height-wise walking around comparable until Kareem showed up at the end.
That would have been a great matchup to see. Mad Max
Kareem
says
Kareem was leading the league in scoring while Wilt was still there. He was the better player at that point. He was more skilled.
I mean, he had a lot of miles on him at that point. Mad Max
he's always been more skilled than Wilt. Don't do that to Kareem. Kareem
no, I'm just saying as far as like him being, the
better
leading
free throw
scorer.
shooter, better shooter.
Yeah. Mad Max says Wilt's too fast for Shaq. Shaq don't want to see Wilt. If Wilt played against Shaq, he'd have Shaq huffing and puffing. I agree with that.
Like I said, people don't hold on. You want to know? I want to pull up Shaq's vertical coming out of LSU. I think y'all are forgetting that Shaq was I think people forget that Shaq was a freak of nature coming out.
You don't want to pull up Shaq's vertical
because Shaq didn't score 100 points in a game because like Shaq actually played against people his height consistently. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, that doesn't mean that he has a better vertical or bench more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like even Shaq. As much as I love Shaq, he wasn't really a great rebounder. He wasn't really a great shot blocker.
If he suffered, hold on. If there's anything I'm disappointed about his career, it's the rebounder that he was, because that's a guy that should have averaged 13, 14 rebounds a game for his career.
He wasn't a great rim protector. I mean, if we want to nitpick, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'll give you that. I give you that. I think he's underrated as a rim protector. I think his size kept a lot of people from even doing
it did. I think his size kept a lot of people from attempting. Jay Short with the super chat says, in the 90s, let me get the super chat real quick. He said, in the 90s, when centers were centers, Shaq won. Question mark.
Guess who has the recorded maximum vertical reach ever measured in pre-draft workouts? You think it's Shaq or you think it's Wilt? They're the same height, though, Mike. I thought Wilt was the freak of nature. Why is it Shaq at 12 feet 5 inches when they're both 7'1"?
Hold on, what's this again?
Maximum vertical reach in terms of how far you can extend yourself while you jump.
Well, what's the vertical? Let's stop with the games. What's the actual vertical?
No. They
because a lot of that has to do with your
vertical
wingspan.
Doesn't matter in live time. You know that, right?
Oh my God.
Vertical doesn't matter in live time.
So you're including something that has something to do with wingspan, possibly. I want to see how much they come off the ground.
I'm going to tell you why wingspan matters more than vertical. The 1991 NBA Finals. Scottie Pippen is 6'7". Michael Jordan is 6'6". Michael Jordan guarded Magic Johnson in Game 1. Does everybody remember Magic Johnson's Game 1 triple-double on Michael Jordan, where the Lakers won Game 1? And then Phil Jackson put Scottie Pippen, who's only an inch taller than Michael, but his wingspan, Mike. So tell me wingspan don't matter again? Because I'm pretty certain
when we're talking about athleticism, no. Because at the end of the day...
Mike is a better athlete than Scottie. But that's why wingspan matters, because Mike's athleticism didn't mean shit against Magic Johnson in game 1. Scotty's wingspan was everything against Magic Johnson games 2 through 5. You know it.
You're changing the subject. Let me look up
I'm
what
not.
we need
No,
to
no,
look
no. We're
up.
talking about vertical reach and wingspan. That's what your vertical reach is. That's how far you jump with your wingspan. Wilt and Shaq are comparable. Why is Shaq's higher than Wilt if Wilt is the freak of nature?
I don't even see a vertical jump for
It's a pre-draft workout. This is Shaq's pre-draft workout. That's what I'm saying. You're forgetting that Shaq was a freak of nature just like Wilt.
Wilt had a 48-inch vertical, man. Mad Max with the super chat says, same Shaq that got cooked by Hakeem. That's the same height and the size as Bill Russell.
And Bill Russell offensively is never Hakeem. Wilt never played anybody like Hakeem. And you know it, Mike. Don't you sit up there and say that.
No, he didn't. Man, he never played anybody close to Hakeem.
Hakeem would have undressed Wilt too.
Let's get to these super chats so we can move on. Let's get these super chats so we can move on. Man says Shaq was a top 50 by the 3rd season. Let that sink in. Vincent Hughes says Shaq ran the break off the rebound. Stop. Arguably the best feet in the post. Shaq was incredible, and that's why I don't like this conversation, because it sounds like down in one to prop up the other. I'm not saying that, and I just think Wilt is otherworldly, and so is Shaq. And what Shaq did in size, we've never seen, but what Wilt is as an overall athlete for his size, we haven't seen either. Let's get to this Pete Rock and Diddy thing. So Diddy did an acceptance speech at the BET Awards for his Lifetime Achievement Award. I think he called himself Chocolate Boy Wonder or something. And Pete Rock seems to have not only issue with that, but it seems like a long-standing issue with Puff. Let me go to what Pete Rock said on Instagram.
This is a problem.
Pete Rock said on Instagram, erasure is a real thing. We're doing this to each other now. He tagged BET and Billboard. We not alike. You know better than this. Knock it off. You're from 77 Dale Ave, Mount Vernon, New York. I know everything about you, but I won't call myself Puff Daddy when I'm the real Chocolate Boy Wonder, boss. You kind of came out of nowhere. I've been in Mount Vernon since 1st grade all the way to graduating high school. I came up in the town. Hold on one second. I know we're getting some super chats. He said, I came up in the town. I don't want to miss nobody's super chats. Okay. I came up in the town. My brother, Grape Lover, taught you dance steps in your garage on Dale Ave. I touch drum machines and make beats for real. You can't erase what I've done in music or try to take my name. LOL. Everyone in hip hop knows who the Chocolate Boy Wonder is. You brought Biggie to the basement only to diss me later and not use me on any of Biggie's projects. You cut me out of the One More Chance video when Biggie himself invited me.
Is this really going on?
Yeah. You got to where you wanted to be by shitting. Wanted to be, then shitted. My gift is from God the Almighty, Mr. Puffy, shaking my head. I made those hits for real. There's no comparison, dude. I've been here before you. Don't let me go in on you because it's a lot there. Just knock it off with the Chocolate Boy Wonder shit. I'm flattered though, bruh. But you wanted my attention. I guess okay, you got it. Now your own name. I think he was talking. All right. You got a few of them niggas. P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, that brother Love. I never wanted nothing from you, but stop calling yourself my name. It's copywritten. You want the Chocolate Boy Wonder, you got to pay for it. F out of here, Diddy. What are you doing, bro? Shaking my head. This is so corny. Wow. I'm minding my business and doing what I got to do for the culture of hip-hop, and I'm still here by the grace of God. Now, let me let you guys know, that was rewritten because I think he took down the original post where he was talking about the fact that he made Juicy. and they stole Juicy from him. Actually,
I can see that.
I did a little bit of research too because it was a previous interview, and this source right here is like what? This is
Very problematic.
Wikipedia. So it says producer Pete Rock alleges that Puffy stole the idea for the original song and the beat from hearing the beat at Pete Rock's house in an interview with Wax Poetic. He said, I did the original version, didn't get credit for it. They came to my house, heard the beat going on drums, and it's the same story. You come downstairs in my crib, you hear music. He heard that shit. The next thing I know, it's coming out. They had me do the remix, but I tell people, I will fight it to the end that I did the original version of that. I'm not mad at anybody. I just want the correct credit. Pete's remix for Juicy was used the same sample as the original. During their appearance on the Juan Epstein podcast, Rock said that there was no hard feelings on how Juicy came about, but he wishes he'd gotten proper credit, although he did admit to harbor some ill feelings at the time. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go to these super chats real quick. Yeah, hold your thought, please. I got a lot to say too. JB was here. Says Wilt was born too soon. Swap Shaq in the 60s. I'm sorry, to 60s. Same doubts. I agree. If Shaq was playing in that same era, we'd probably be saying the same thing about Shaq.
Shaq would have won more, but whatever.
We don't know that. Shaq had Kobe Bryant by his side. Jay Short says,
no, Kobe Bryant had Shaq by his side. No, you're not about to do that.
I'm messing with you. I know. Right, Jay Short says, isn't this the same Pete Rock who called himself Soul Brother #1 and had a logo as a woman with an afro? Was that original? Love Pete, but this ain't it. What were your thoughts? I'm sorry.
You and I have often had talks that what we feel like happened to Pete Rock is that Primo got more placements than Pete Rock. And you came on here and quibbled that it's because of relationships, that Primo had relationships that Pete Rock didn't have. I think Pete was very probably outspoken about some things early on. And I think he was a little Kanye before Kanye, actually, probably, is what I realized. Yeah. And I think being Kanye before Kanye in that circle hurt him. And so when we're looking at his lack of placement, specifically on J, Big, and Nas records, which is where Primo really earned his all-time great strikes, truly, that in Moment of Truth. I think his mouth, Mike, is starting to look like his mouth is what really kept him from it, which would give credence to what you said about how, well, Preem's in Brooklyn and got the relationships. And also, too, Preem's not known for talking, Mike. Now, let's go to this Puff thing and what Pete Rock knows. Well, Pete Rock knows Puff well because a lot of people don't realize that's Heavy D's cousin. Pete Rock is Heavy D's cousin. Now, who got
Heavy
a whole lot to do with Puff being
Puff
in this game and then being in this sphere?
And for the people out there that don't know, Heavy D put Puff on.
He did. And so Pete Rock is probably one of the people that knows the real origination of the name Puff Daddy. You feel me? So he knows, you know?
Yep.
Hev's his cousin. People forget. How about this? People forget this. Pete Rock was actually an MC first. He was just trying to make his way through making beats. It just so happened that he kept running into guys like, I don't know, CL Smooth, Nas. Like when you hear guys like that rap, it kind of puts you more in the sphere of a producer.
And here's what I mean about
how his relationships hurt him, because Pete Rock is supposed to be Primo. Who did Run DMC call for Down with the Kings?
Exactly. I agree.
And so his mouth, it appears, is what kept him from his spots. Because if you go beat for beat, he's there and he's got everybody there.
Well, every time that he did get a feature, he killed it. Just like you said. With the Rakim joint. Great.
The saga begins.
You know what? I'll take it a step further. I will take it a step further. I think his gripe with the Juicy situation got him X'd out of all kind of shit. And I don't want to say it's his mouth, because if somebody stole something from you, they stole something from you. And with him saying that he just wants his credit, ain't no problem, sounds like he might have got paid for it, but he's still not good with it. You know what I'm saying?
So
under the table type of stuff. Because you know what, making Juicy, that's life changing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an all time classic. Him getting credit for that, and then the
that's
fact that if you took Juicy from him, and this is Pete Rock, Mount Vernon and everything, they got all kind of connects when you think about, you know, the parallels between him and Puff. And that really threw me off too. And he said that Big invited him to the One More Chance video. He's in the video, and Puff cut him out of the video. It's like, yeah, it sounds like somebody was doing some work to not have Pete Rock on these projects. I'm sorry.
no, it's obvious work being put in. I've also told you this many times about Heavy and how important Heavy is to like all of this rap shit.
Yeah.
How do One More Chance video start off again?
Yeah, Hev. Exactly.
Hev.
And how is Pete Rock not in there? We know
Who's
Pete
Hev's
Rock's
cousin?
in there.
Hold on. Listen to this. And who's Hef's cousin?
Exactly.
Rock? Is this
Of
not
course.
1995? So you're telling me this guy just they reminisce over you in 93 and made The World Is Yours in 94 and probably did Juicy for you in 94 and he's not? Yeah, he's there, Mike.
That ain't cool.
He's there.
I'm sorry. That's
That
not
is
cool.
not cool.
LP
But
says this kind of feels
but
like.
here's what I will tell you too, and here's where Pete might really be mad. Now, The World Is Yours is a better song than Juicy to me, but Juicy, that's the type of check that comes in for the rest of you.
I know.
That's like getting 100, 200, 300, 400 grand a year.
That's fucked up, right?
Right there.
It's fucked up, right?
Right. Mike, Juicy is one of those songs that you know they're even going to play it at the white club that's trendy.
Well, I mean, not even club. You're going to hear that song for the rest of our lives.
No, club play matters in terms of like situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. LP says this kind of feels like when DJ Quick thought that Dr. Dre was hating because he didn't see his music on Apple Music, but it was there. The underdog bitterness. Now, I think this is a little deeper than that. And after we go through the super chats, I'm going to go through some of the parallels too, because I don't think Pete Rock I think this is just one of those situations where it was the straw that broke the camel's back. LP says Pete had
He's just tired, Mike.
Yeah, LP says Pete had a major ego. Also can't live without samples, so he lost streams earlier than most. Why pay all that money for samples when you can't get it cleared? But see, this is an era where shit was getting cleared. Now, if we're talking about the early 2000s, when things moved to like Lil Jon and Manny Fresh in the South, I would feel you. But he got X'd out of very important eras of the 90s where samples, Diana Ross samples are getting cleared. Sting samples are getting cleared. So that's not an excuse. Mad Max says, LOL, it's always the outspoken uppity brother who gets cut out. I understand, Pete. I'm like that too. This is the thing, and this is why I think it's easy to write certain people off as quote unquote bitter, and I think that's unfortunate that we do that. But once again, they're from the same place.
Right.
This man's actually a producer for real. I mean, from a hip hop standpoint, where he puts his fingers to the beat machine and finds the sample, cuts the shit, puts it out, all that shit. He made When They Reminisce Over You. We're not gonna front on him on that, right? And
lay down with things.
We've never seen Puff in front of a beat machine, so I'm sure that that parallel is whatever too. And then my cousin put you on, and then you invited Big to my house. Y'all heard this Juicy sample in the back, took it, didn't give me credit for it. Okay, whatever. Try to pay me on the back end or under the table. Fine, whatever. And like Coop said, this is a song that now the residuals are stupid. And then, on top of that, Big invites me to the One More Chance video that's full of cameos out the ass, and sounds like he got word that he was intentionally cut out. And on top of that, we got a double disc coming. I'm not on that either. I don't even get the opportunity to work with Big.
Hold on and listen. When I mean like literally, well, Havoc's on there.
Everybody's on
there. RZA, they were able to get a track out of Wu-Tang Clan on there. They got a beat from RZA on there. Long Kiss Goodnight's produced by RZA. I mean, you know what Bad Boys Hitmen look like: Nasheem Myrick, Stevie J, Carlos Brody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a collective of everywhere. You had You had Easy Mo B on there making
Easy Mo
songs from
B's on there.
California.
No,
You know,
they literally. So here's actually what I was thinking while we were having this discourse. This is why these conversations are beautiful. I just realized it's like, where Pete Rock may have played himself some too is treating himself too much like a rapper. Because here's what I'll tell you. He's coming around the same time that Q-Tip is while Q-Tip's working on Instinctive. I told you that whole little producer crew from that time is Large Professor, Pete Rock, Primo, Q-Tip.
yeah, the
Those are the
Illmatic
guys.
crew.
Huh?
The Illmatic crew. They would go shop for vinyl together and use each other's
Right,
vinyl.
but they're all getting on around the same time too. Now, Professor and Pete Rock rap, okay? They are not Q-Tip on the mic or anything remotely close, voice-wise, lyrically-wise, anything. And I think maybe where Pete Rock is hurt at is that he's always had kind of an MC's ego. Because I can't even lie. Like, I listened to True Master again the other day, Mike. It's like, no, we need to cut your verse out and just let Deck and Corrupt have this song. And that's what a smart producer without an ego would do with a record like that. Or on a lot of these records.
Well,
even
I think the one that really makes me feel that way is The Game.
The Game.
And then he went after Ghost. Ghost just went crazy. You just end the song right.
I mean, I'm sorry. It's what? It's 1998, and you're on a record with Deck and Corrupt, and then you're on a record with Ray, Ghost, and Prodigy. It's like, nah, fam, you're thinking too much of yourself as an MC, and maybe that's part of what hurt him too. And maybe part of that hurt comes from feeling shunned as a producer, because he's looking at Illmatic and he's like, well, I just produced the best record on there. He's looking at Juicy and he's like, man, like that's the shit that blew Big up. Like that's really my shit, And here's how big Juicy is. Like Dash just did something saying he gets $300,000 a year from the stuff he produced on All Eyes on Me. None of those records is Juicy. Not even Ambitions as a writer. That's probably where I'd probably say $100,000 of that 300 probably comes off Ambitions of a writer. And I love Ambitions of a Writer. It's one of my top 5 Pac songs. But if we talk about like this capitalistic system about how money and music is made, that ain't fucking with Juicy on the $ tip. So Pete Rock is probably missing out on about $500,000 a year, easy, Mike.
I would imagine so, and it's unfortunate because again, Pete Rock's one of our greats, and he has proven time and time again, even as current as this year, last year, that he's one of the best, if not the best producers out there. When you talk about the longevity, I personally, and I've told you this, I personally prefer Pete Rock's beats over Premier's beats. Now, I'm not saying who's better, but you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's just a shame that we never got Pete Rock and Jay around Volume 1 or around Reasonable Doubt. Everybody's on fucking Reasonable Doubt. And that's my thing. It's like, so the word must have got around, man. Don't fuck with Pete. And I feel like from what this post says, it seems like this is where it's coming from. Like, I don't know.
No. I think that's one side of where it's coming from. I think the other side of it is his ego that wants to rap and is like, well, Pete might show up and want to do a verse too. And these niggas is probably like, no, because think about it. Q-Tip is showing up for Illmatic and Infamous sessions not wanting to rap. Like, I'm not trying to rap with these niggas. He did one verse on Drink Away the Pain. He showed his ass. It's one of the best verses of his career. And then he's out. Primo's not wanting to rap on these tracks. Listen to Pete Rock's Soul Survivor. When did Soul Survivor come out? In 98. He's still trying to rap, Mike, and that's part of the problem, too. It's like, yeah, the nigga Pete gonna want to rap if he give you a track, though, Jay. It's like, nah, he can keep that. Even on The World Is Yours, is he not on the hook?
This is true.
Name one other, like Q-Tip's on the hook doing One Love. You want to know why Q-Tip's on the hook doing One Love? Because he's got one of the best fucking rap voices ever, and it sounds good.
It's true. LP with the super chat says they weren't, Mike. They were getting sued like crazy. Pete was using samples, didn't clear them, and got caught later. This happens a lot to them. What are you talking about?
No, Preem's talking about the moment of truth. The same thing was happening to Preem and Q-Tip and Large Pro and all those guys. He did not go through anything different.
No, I'm talking about Puff Daddy, man. Sting got paid off of I'll be missing you.
No. Puff was paying
niggas.
Like Puff was getting the samples okay because people knew that Puff was gonna make a big enough record off of it to pay you and for you to make more money.
Those samples were getting cleared. Coming out from Diana Ross for More Money, More Problems was getting cleared. The Mace record, Cool in the Gang.
Gloria Stefan shit, bad,
the Cool in the Gang joint. Hollywood Swinging. That's getting cleared. They cleared that. So yeah, if he was working with Big, his shit would have got cleared.
The
Yeah.
Backstabbers from the Get Money remix.
Yeah. All of that shit was getting cleared.
All that shit getting cleared.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Chuck D talking about when Puff did Public Enemy #1. I guess he cleared it and then called Chuck too just to make sure he was good with it and all that stuff.
People like asked Nas Pete to do the chorus. Okay, so Nas asked Pete to do the chorus. Did Nas ask Pete to do a whole rap album with rappers when he was supposed to be the producer and rap on almost every record and slow down some of the records? Because when you think about it, some of those records are all-time great rap records if you omit his verse, like True Master, Truly Yours, The Game. Take his verse off. Tell me that's not some of the best rap shit ever, period.
Yeah, honestly, man. And I love Pete Rock. You know how I feel about Pete Rock.
I realized that when he was rapping on Down with the Kings, I'm like, you're not even a better rapper than Run. And don't talk about when CL Smooth comes in on Down with the Kings. It's clear who the best rapper in the room is on that record.
Yeah.
It's clear.
No, I agree.
Clear you have no business rapping.
Well, you know, I hate to say this.
Rapping too,
I hate to say this, but when you look at like Trouble T. Roy, it's just CL Smooth.
It's a reason for that.
And it needs to be, you know, and I don't want that to sound like whatever, but he's always been around such elites. And I said this on the previous show. One of my favorite songs from him is Escapism, where it's just him. But the thing was with those Pete Rock albums, he was surrounding himself around these super MCs. And it's like, when you got Ray coming in and Prodigy comes in and then Ghost comes in, the song needs to go off. I'm sorry, man. It does.
The song's over for all of us anyway.
Yeah.
We skipping it after Ghost part.
I mean, and that goes for even really talented MCs. Like, I don't want to put people's names out there, but yeah, you could use your imagination and insert, you know, a MC at a certain skill level in that fourth spot, and you'd be like, no, we should have ended it with Ghost. LP with the super chat says, Maine is the last album that he had layered samples. I talking about Main Ingredient.
Yeah,
I love Main Ingredient.
So I know I say you love Main Ingredient. Most people are Mecca and the Soul Brother.
LP says,
what I'm saying is that having this rapper's ego. That's what I'm saying. Even on Heavy D's Don't Curse, he's on there with Kane and Cool G Rap. Why in the hell is Pete Rock rapping on a track with Big Daddy Kane and Cool G Rap?
Because he raps with high-level guys.
This is before he's super producer extraordinaire. This is before Trouble Tree Roy, okay? Yeah. I want people to understand this. Don't Curse with Cool G Rap and Kane on Heavy D's album. That's before Trouble Tree T-Roy. He's not even heralded as this type of producer yet, but for some reason he wants to rap with Cool G Rap, and it just stands out, Mike, because you can even hear flow and delivery and charismatic wise, he's not even head on the mic.
Well, you know what their first single.
His ego has hurt him.
Now, it's interesting you say that.
I'm sorry, and I'm going to finish, and I'm going to let you go, Mike. I'm sorry. I think as a pure beat maker, he's probably only superseded by Dilla.
I agree.
As a pure beat maker.
What I was going to say, though, is you know what their first single was? The Creator. And it's just him. And I'm sitting there like, why is CL Smooth being sidelined? You know how I feel about CL Smooth, too. I feel like he's one of the most underrated MCs ever. He wrote one of the greatest hip-hop songs of all time, and he's never in these conversations. LP with the super chat says, when you sell a beat to a label, you have to show every sample used, and he wasn't doing that. So he wasn't showing the samples. With all that said, Mecca, top 5 producer album ever. Produced album ever.
No.
Listen, man. I've heard those stories when it comes to De La and Prince Paul. They had a lot of layered stuff. Even Public Enemy had a whole lot of layered stuff, but Bomb Squad was turning in what they needed to turn in, and that stuff got cleared. Shakara Speaks says Jay Dilla is a child of Pete Rock. I agree.
With that.
You know,
I'm talking about like he asked Pete Rock to sing the hook What about the other stuff that I just brought up? Can y'all explain Down with the Kings?
Yeah,
Don't
Down with the
Curse.
King, the
A
Game,
whole
and True
album. You get what I'm
Master.
saying? This is like,
No,
don't
you
land
got
on
a
the
point.
hook. I'm talking about, why is he on Down with the Kings with Run DMC's comeback with CL Smooth rapping when he's not even a better rapper than Run or DMC? Why is he on Don't Curse with Heavy D and Cool G rapping Big Daddy Kane? Y'all keep talking about singing him this. He's singing a hook on The World Is Yours. That's fine. He can have that. Nas asked him to sing a hook. What about all this other evidence that I'm giving you? Giving you
LP with
other
the super
evidence.
chat
Like, I'm like
says,
showing you where he's trying to be a rapper.
LP
That
with the
probably hurt him.
LP with the super chat says CL talked about it on Straighten It Out, second verse. Okay. JB what was here says Hawks just got Deontay Murray.
Yeah,
DeJounte
I saw that, Mike.
Murray.
We just traded Danilo Gallinari and some picks for Deontay Murray.
Okay.
You know what that means? That means the Hawks are serious about playing defense, and they know that Trey defensively is a liability, so they're pairing him with a backcourt partner who is tall, because DeJounte is about 6'7",
Mm-hmm.
and he's also defensively stout. So
I
he
like
will be
it.
guarding. He'll be. How about this? He'll be guarding the Kyries of the world
I love
and the
it.
Hardens. Yes, and the Currys when they come to town from now on, not Trey. So guess what this does? They're turning Trey into an Iverson combo guard. This is his Eric Snow.
Combo guard.
This is his Joe Dumars.
I like it.
Yes, this is their
Shagara
Joe
Speak
Dumars.
says,
I love the move, actually.
J. Rue Can't Stop the Prophet remix. Pete Rock. Yeah, man. And then, you got that Shut 'Em Down remix. And see, that's what I think that kind of pushed Pete Rock into doing the remixes, too. He wasn't getting these placements that he should have been getting.
Right.
Jay
Isn't
Short,
he rapping on the Smoke DZA album, too? That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Jay Short with the super chat says that Soul Brother album was fire. Yes, it was.
It was. And it would have been a hip-hop classic had he not been rapping on it, though.
I love Pete Rock, and I hate to say that you're right, but you're right. I never really thought about it in those terms, but I could see somebody like Jay being like, yeah, but he gonna want to rap, man. Because you see how they treated Kanye. You know what I'm saying? But see, they didn't.
These are rappers, Mike.
Right.
This is Nas, Big, and Jay. We talking about these ain't regular rappers. It's like they ain't trying to hold airtime with you. They like, man, we next. Like,
because they weren't trying to get Kanye no verse on nothing.
And Kanye's a far superior rapper than Pete Rock could ever pray to be on his best day.
LP with the super chat says samples clear for what was reported. They found the unreported samples later. And Coop, yes, it is. The horn is used in Mecca. Horns used on Mecca are unmatched. Well, yeah, I'm gonna do some research on those samples that weren't clear for them. Like I said, I normally hear that story when it comes to De La Soul and Prince Paul. Because they had so much that was layered, and Tommy Boy was, I think the story was that Tommy Boy said they cleared something that wasn't actually cleared. And honestly, at the end of the day, De La had to pay the price for it, but I think it's so messed up because at the end of the day, the company that put this out, they should be the one liable, not the artist, right? I gave it to you with all these checkpoints, and you got to go double check and make sure everything's clear. And if it's not, it was put out under your label. So I don't understand how the artist has to fit the bill for that. But whatever.
I don't quite understand that either.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's just whatever they say goes. But yeah, that happened. I think the Chocolate Boy Wonder thing that Puff said, and he knew what he was saying. I think that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Oh, we got Puffy in the building with a super chat. It said the Combs 444. It said I can't curse because Heavy D says so. Now back to the subject. I catch wreck. Come on, like a 5-year-old. I can write that. Oh, come on, like a 5-year-old can write that. Sorry, LOL. I mean,
I'm gonna say less. I'm just giving examples. That's why it's like it ain't just The World Is Yours hook. It's like, no, I got a whole Pete Rock album that was a hip hop classic outside of all his throwaway verses. I got Down with the Kings, which is an all-time great hip hop record outside of his verse. I got Don't Curse, which is it's literally the only time you found Cool G rap not cursing.
You remember back in the day,
Cool G rap not cursing.
You remember back in the day, well, at least me and my friends, we used to have this conversation or debates about who's the best rapper, producer, and RZA was always
RZA always was winning.
Always the person to talk about, But see, I didn't know Q-Tip was making what he was making then. And if
None
I
of
knew
us
that,
did. We didn't find this out till later, Mike.
I didn't find this out until later. And so, if I knew that, then Q-Tip would have been that, right? And I think the other thing was the fact that Large Professor, man, I think Large Professor might be, if we're talking about those three, or let's just add RZA in there, right? I think if I had to rate them as MCs, I'm going Q-Tip, I'm going RZA, I'm going Large Professor, and then Pete Rock.
Okay, if we're rating those guys, so we're not bringing like Dre or Ye into this either.
Well, Ye wasn't in the 90s, so...
Okay, so I get you. You're talking that East Coast collective that all was kind of like bought up in the rhyming era.
If we bring Dre in the fold...
So hold on. No. But listen. So what producer got the most placements? That would be DJ Premier. See, he's not in this rapper-ass conversation we're having.
Well, yeah.
Hello. Q-Tip's in that conversation. Large Professor's in that conversation. Pete Rock's in that conversation. Funny how the one guy that didn't rap.
Well, hold on. I'll stop you there, though. I think Large Professor had a similar situation as Pete because he wasn't getting the placement. Pete, I agree, but he wasn't getting the placements he should have been getting either. And that might be in fear of the rapping part. Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. No. I'm telling you. Because think about this. Even Q-Tip's placements outside of Tribe stuff, well, them was Queens niggas. That's Mobb Deep and Nas. You feel me? So even his placements was coming from on some kind of like on some hood shit, quite frankly. Right. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, well, Mike, just like star ball players oftentimes don't like to share the ball when they're young because they're worried about putting up numbers
MCs
and winning championships. Well, young MCs work the same way. You remember when Stephon Marbury and Kevin Garnett couldn't make it work because Stephon Marbury was too busy on being the man. They're like, no, we got the man. We just need you to play right hand to the man. He's like, oh, I ain't built like that. You got to get me out of here. That's how young rappers think too. So they might be looking at somebody like a Large Professor, a Q-Tip, a Pete Rock, and be like, well, that nigga may want to rap during the session. I can just go get 2 or 3 tracks from Preem.
Well, see, the thing with Q-Tip, I think Q-Tip was a little different because he was a star as a rapper. And like you said...
That's even more intimidating. Yeah. That's even more intimidating and problematic than not being able to rap. It's like this nigga Q-Tip might stun on me after he do my beat.
Mad Max with the Super Chat says, they turned Trey into Isaiah Thomas, not Iverson. LOL.
It's the same difference.
Murray is Trey's Dumar.
It's the same difference. And I referenced Isaiah and Dumars too. Like I literally went Eric Snow, Joe Dumars. And it is the same thing.
LP says Pete got a verse on the We Are the World remix.
I don't care about that. That's making my point for me when you say stuff.
Not the We Are the World remix. Nas the Goat says, do y'all think the Q-Tip? Nas the Goat says, do y'all think the Q-Tip would beat Kanye West in the verses? I think Kanye West is very difficult to beat in the verses. Q-Tip's my guy.
Yeah, Q-Tip's got stuff.
Q-Tip's my guy, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Q-Tip's my guy, but I'm going to say no. I don't think anybody, I'm going to keep it real and I'm going to keep it consistent. I don't think anybody could beat Kanye West in the verses. Andriel Green says, Nas personally asked Pete to sing the hook on The World Is Yours.
Y'all don't stop bringing that up.
Nobody super chatted it yet, so we finally got it in the super chat.
Let it go.
Well, speaking of letting things go, let's talk about Lupe Fiasco real quick.
Not real quick.
Drill music in Zion out now.
We need to give this to Just Do people been talking about.
Can I say something to start off? This is what I want to post. I want to post this to start off. I want to post this tweet. Lupe Fiasco tweeted yesterday. I wrote, actually didn't write, more like spoke it, and self-recorded drill music in Zion from scratch over a course of 72 hours. Give or take some hours, only stopped to eat and sleep, entirely on GarageBand with a $100 USB microphone in my living room. Hashtag added value. What do you have to say about that? I think that's genius. I think it's impressive. And again, it speaks to the mind of Lupe and a lot of those things I'm impressed by.
So I'm going to ask you something.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not doing this to be shady. I really want to know this. Do you find this to be super impressive, as in, on what level? Do you find it to be impressive that he recorded 9 songs in 3 days?
No. Just the conception of writing, recording, and putting together a whole album in a 72-hour period.
Didn't Jay kind of do that with the Blueprint, or do the same number of songs in a short amount of time?
It was a little bit more amount of songs, but yes, he did.
I believe
do
he
that
did
with
9
the
songs in
Blueprint.
2 days, though, is how the legend goes, correct?
Yeah,
Jay did 9 songs
definitely.
in 2 days from the Blueprint?
And I am eternally impressed by that as well. And I always talk about Jay in his prime and how he was able to put together things on the spot and put together such great records at such a pace. It sets him apart from everyone.
Say that again. How often did he do that?
He did
and
that
at what
over.
pace did he do that?
I want to say he did that over a course of, let's see, 98 to around 02. Jay was just everywhere. Features. I mean, the whole legend of him going in Timbaland's studio doing lobster and shrimp in like 15 minutes with nothing in his hand or everything in his head.
So I'm going to say this to you again then. What about what Lupe did is so impressive to you, given what you just said about Jay?
Well, that doesn't mean that just because somebody else who's
like,
all-time great did it too. This is that whole Shaq and Wilt thing we were just getting into. Just because one person's incredible too doesn't mean the other thing wasn't as impressive.
No, I mean, it's pretty incredible, but let's give it some context and act like it's not like it's they do this for a living. Yeah. We have a guy, hold on. We have a guy that we talk about on here, our guy Holla. That's your guy and my guy. Okay? Holla went into our studios, the studio that my cousin was executive producer of and ran, and recorded a whole mixtape in literally a day and a half of about 14 records. Okay? This is MC shit. This is, and you know, Holla was signed to an independent deal that was distributed through Universal. This is shit that you're capable of doing when you're top flight. I've seen it happen within my camp. I was giving Jay credence as another major label artist has done it. So am I impressed by it? Yes. Is it beyond the realm of what's being done? No. He's an MC and an MC of the highest level in the highest order. And for somebody that has the reciting and memorization skills that he gets lauded for by people on here, him putting out 9 songs in 72 hours is not absurd to me. And so I want to speak of it from the perspective of, well, how good is the music that he did in the 72 hours? Because Jay's 9 songs in those 2 days for the Blueprint are living for fucking ever in hip-hop lore because the music was classic and timeless. Now,
let me go to the super chat real quick, and I'll definitely...
So let's just keep it about the music, not about the feat. The feat has been done and can be done. Let's talk about the music.
Okay. LP with the super chat says, Pete be putting himself in everything like Spike Lee.
Really good.
Man with the super chat says, cool, what do you have against Pete's rapping? He has some pretty good songs. Take Your Time, Half Man, Half Amazing, or lack of literary devices you speak of.
Do you think he sounds good on Half Man, Half Amazing? Shame
next to Method Man?
Shame on you if you think that.
I think that's the problem, man. I think he's
that's
just rapping problem. With
he's
such
going back and forth with Method Man in 1998. Yeah. Like, be real, fam.
LP says,
think about it. Biggie had trouble keeping pace with Method Man going back and forth. And you're talking about Pete Rock, fam? Like, come on.
LP with the super chat says, genius, though. What Lupe did was a Tuesday for Tupac.
Say less, LP. That's what I'm saying. It's like, stop acting like this is like, no, Mike, if you MC and you MC at a high level, like I'm telling you this right now. How about this? Mike, if I asked you to re-record some of your material, you could go in a day and record 9 songs and get it done.
I think so.
You know you could.
I think so.
Right. So stop playing with these people.
Actually, yeah.
See, it seems great to people who haven't rapped before. It's like, no. There are niggas around the country right now. It's like, oh, he did 9 songs in 3 days. It's like, nigga, we do that all the time around here.
Man with the super chat says, Pac recorded 8 songs a day, so I'm not impressed.
Mike, I wrote a whole EP on the flight back to Italy. I literally wrote 5 whole songs that I was ready to record on a flight back from Italy. I literally had beats and tracks and everything. I could have got off the plane and laid all 5 tracks down that night.
Andre Chashir says, gotta shine a light on artists. I feel like we have the potential in my city, Milwaukee. Did y'all hear Lakia's freestyle on Cosmic Kev? No. Gotta listen to that.
We'll check that out. Yep. We're just thinking, need to check that.
Ryan Gillum. Shout out to Ryan Gillum in the room. It's kind of funny that it took Kendrick 5 years to make an album while it took Lupe 3 days.
Woo! See,
we weren't even going to go there.
No. Do you want to go there? Hold on. We need to stay on Lupe for a minute.
Let's stay on Lupe for a minute. We're going to talk about Kendrick's crown, too.
We are going to get it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Kendrick's crown.
Yeah. Because he can't please everybody.
He's not your savior. I'm
stressed out.
So what were you going to say about Lupe and the quality of material? You were saying that, I guess I think this album's dope, right? And I think the impressive part is just his lyrical dexterity throughout the whole project.
You're right.
You said something offline, which I couldn't disagree with. You said production is Lupe's problem.
It is. First of all, LP is right. Coop, you ain't rapping like Lupe, though, respectfully. Well, respectfully speaking, Rakim and Nas don't rap like Lupe either. That doesn't mean that shit flies, and that's part of why I bought Rakim and Nas up. I wasn't doing that disrespectfully.
Well, speaking of which, though, you said something I want to correct.
What you said first, Mike. Go ahead.
I want to say something you said last episode I want to correct. You said that we're not better rappers than Eminem. I disagree. I think I'm a better rapper than Eminem. But go ahead.
Okay. I saw that you put that in the chat and in the thread in the comments. I feel what you're saying. Like, I feel like I'm a better writer than him. I feel like I've made better songs. I think
people will ride to my music before they'll play some fucking I'ma kill you.
I believe that too, Mike. Like, even the stuff that we be dropping, it's like, Mike, I've heard your stuff. It's like those two stuffs that we just dropped is actually some of our least lyrical stuff that we just dropped. Right. But anyway, that's not what this is about. Let's kind of get back to Lupe. Mm-hmm. I do feel that lyrically, he does some amazingly impressive things every time that you hear him. Mm-hmm. He is always constantly pushing your thought process forward. That doesn't make him the best. That doesn't always make for great music. Part of why I enjoyed this album is because I thought he did a good job of doing all the lyrical miracle things that he's lauded for, while keeping it concise and having enough thoughtful and reflective subject matter that is relatable, at least on his level. So I want to unpack a couple things about what I said about the Rakim and the Nas comparison. Mm-hmm. What I was really trying to contextualize is that these guys are super lyrical, but they know how to just give the people a song because the people need to be behind you, even if you're an all-time great lyricist. And so when I'm using their records and you're like, it's not fair, it kind of is fair. I bought up Kick Push for a reason, because sometimes charisma, personality, swagger, that matters just as much as your lyrical ability. When Biggie's coming on Juicy, Mike, that's not super lyrical. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D. Funny, we're bringing up Heavy again. Yeah. Salt and Pepper and Heavy D up in the limousine. Painting pictures on my wall. Every Saturday, Rap Attack, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl. There ain't nothing super lyrical about that. It's one of the greatest hip-hop records ever created. Because he's creating a feeling, because he's got charisma, he's got cadence, he's got star power, he's got flow. It doesn't matter all that lyrical shit all the time. Can you make a dope-ass record that people like to listen to no matter who you are? Because that's what The World Is Yours is.
I want to say this, though. I want to say this, though. And I love your point, and when you bring up Juicy, I feel that way about Jay on, like, Give It To Me, right? Like, it's a fun record where it's like, we know that, this dude can really take it there lyrically, but on here, he's having a good time, you're having a good time with it, and he still got bars. Same thing with, like, Hey Poppy and shit like that.
No, I'm actually going to go a step further. I was actually about to give you Dead Presidents. You and I talk about that third verse on Dead Presidents and how lyrical it is, Mike. Mm-hmm. Well, the first verse really isn't like that. Listen to how he ends the...
You don't think so?
Who want to bet us that we don't touch listen, I'm about to contextualize it. I'm not saying it's not great. I love me some Dead Presidents. You know how I feel about Dead Presidents. Listen to what he's saying. Word life, I dabbled in crazy weight. Without rap, I was crazy straight. partner. I'm still spending money from '88. What? It ain't what he's saying.
Like those?
It's how he's saying it.
I got you. Okay.
You feel what I'm saying?
Because if you saw it
ain't super lyrical, Mike.
Yeah, if you saw it on paper, it wouldn't jump out the page. But it's about how he presented. You wouldn't be like,
oh, this is one of the. When you hear him say it on Dead Presidents, you're like, this nigga's ill. If you were to read it out, you would never think that's one of the illest niggas that ever wrote it. Or didn't write it, so to speak, as he likes to tell it.
Bad hands, roll like Monopoly. Advance should copy me like White Crystal.
Right, but that's the third verse.
Of the fiscal year,
that you niggas could wish to. The dead presidential candidate.
With the sprinkles in the presidential
ice that'll offend you in due time when crime please my mind. But until then, all sneak thieves and player haters can right. No, he's that. I'm just giving you a reference of about 2 or 3 bars. It's like, it's not super lyrical, but it hits you when he's like, I dabbled in crazy weight. Without rap, I was crazy straight. In 96, he's saying, I'm still spending money from 88. It's like, ooh, that's a different type of bar. That's a different type of feeling where you don't have to be super lyrical for that jab to hit you in the face and make you go, ooh, this nigga's ill. It's like a jab, Mike, when he hits you with that.
Let me get to these super chats real quick. LP says, Lupe made a better album than K-Dot did.
Yes.
T Nitty says Tupac rhymes are preschool compared to Lupe's bars. We got the Lupe fans in here now.
Right. Hold on. It's preschool, and guess what? And more people follow it because of that. And even though I act crazy, I gotta thank the Lord that you made, man. There are no words that can express how I feel. You never kept the secret. Always stayed real. That's better than anything Lupe ever spit in his fucking life, because it connects to a whole generation of black men that were raised by single mothers. Watch what you say.
Mad Max of the Super Chat says, let's leave K-Dot alone. He got more issues with the blasphemy tiara on his head.
Not the
tiara.
No, we're addressing the tiara on his head.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the crown. LP with the Super Chat says, charisma is why we listen to rap.
Yes, it is.
Not read it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you want to send somebody your notes and your booklet and they sit there and read it, or do we want to listen to the music?
Right. So let's bring up Kick Push again, because when I brought up Kick Push, Lupe fans started laughing, and it's like, no, y'all's problem is that y'all don't understand how powerful Kick Push is. I'm going to tell you one of the most important parts of the record, and this is what he's missing as an MC. First time on it, he tripped for a week. He had to talk with a lisp like this. He's missing doing stuff like that. It's simple. It's nice. It shows his charisma. It shows his flow. It shows his cadence. It shows his personality. So when I bring up stuff like Blazer 50 and Death Row East, I say that because it's like, well, Nas is a lyricist. He has all this lyrically deep and dense stuff. Sometimes as a lyricist, you just need to be able to give something to people that shows them that you're still with the people. Blazer 50, sit back in the drop top of Zora Bentley. Of course, Whitney. This chick will make Bobby divorce Whitney. Brazilian Candy. From Miami. Masseuse wedding ring on, loving Celine Dion, hate rap. Told me where she get cake at. She's a part-time dancer, part-time romancer.
What would you say to somebody who
when
says...
she gets a chance to... Hold on, where he's talking about me and Stout flicked it up for Sports Illustrated. We was silked out. You get what I'm saying?
What would you say to somebody who would say that that's boring?
That's what I'm saying. If that's boring to you, then what is what Lupe's doing? Nas on Death Row East. People like, Coop, why you like Death Row East? It's because Nas ain't trying to do some super lyrical miracle stuff. He's just being a dope ass nigga on the mic and telling his story. High off life, drunk off dark liquor, shit getting eerie. Like I threw on Thriller. Bitch, I'm a hard hitter. Rolex clocks and killers all out of order. I'm praying God forgive us. I had run-ins with Suge. Niggas would have been shook. It ain't complicated. That shit is dope. You're a dope MC. He's Lupe, right? He got it like that, right? We've heard him on Paris and Tokyo. I'm going to give you more examples of what he's missing. On Go Go Gadget Flow, when he said, trying to get above the rim, a little too short to dunk, so we dunk. That's that personality and charisma. He's making being a nerdy rapper cool. Little rap Isaac Asimov. That shit. He's shown the capability of doing that stuff, and all I'm saying is that more of that would give him more credence in the all-time great MC conversation. Instead, we keep having this all-time great lyricist conversation about him. And what you're saying when you're putting him there is you're saying that he can't make a song like Rakim.
Well, T Nitty just brought Rakim into the chat. He said,
or Nas.
T Nitty says, so Tupac's better than Rakim?
In a lot of ways, yes. As a song maker, yes. Pac shit gonna live longer than Rakim shit because he knows how to make a song that people enjoy more than Rakim does. Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know.
Who you take as a Mike? Who you take as a song maker? Tupac or Rakim? Because I'm taking Pac.
At the end of the day, this is what I'm gonna say. I think it's more of a conversation than people think. Because what I'm gonna say is, it sounds like y'all are putting Lupe and Rakim in the same vein when it comes to making songs. Lupe does not have a Know the Ledge. He does not have an Eric B as president. He does not have a Paid in Full. He does not. So I don't think
he doesn't even have a Don't Sweat the Technique, Mike.
Because I don't think that's a fair comparison to go to, because we know that Rakim is the standard for lyricism. But let's not act like Rakim didn't make bangers, because that's not the
what
truth.
I'm trying to say. Mike, part of the criteria for being the greatest MC of all time is that you can't just be a great lyricist. No, you have to make records that people like and enjoy. Even Common's done it. He's not even the best song maker in his city.
Well, let's talk about Common as it pertains to Lupe, because I do think that that's a fair conversation.
So let's get off the Nas and Rakim thing. So he's not
all right.
there.
So when we talk about Chicago, when we talk about the greatest lyricist in Chicago, most people would say Common because of his body of work and the songs that he's been able to make and his lyricism, right? But many people will argue that Lupe is the better lyricist than Common.
But that's the only thing.
Yeah.
If you only do one thing, how about this? I tell people this all the time. If you think LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan, I'm going to tell you that there's two sides of the court. And Michael Jordan is the greatest defensive shooting guard of all time, won Defensive Player of the Year, and made all NBA first defensive team 10 times. You tell me that LeBron's a better passer. That's great. Is he a better scorer? No. Is he a better shooter? No. Is he better at the free throw line? No. Is he better defensively? So if you give me that what he's better at is passing the ball and rebounding, and I'm like, well, Mike's a better clutch shooter, 3-point shooter, free throw shooter, 2-point shooter, more fundamentally sound, better offensively, higher vertical, and you're giving me like 2 things, and I'm giving you 10 things, and the other guy has more accolades on top of it. How is the guy that does 1 or 2 things better? How? And that's what it is with Lupe, even versus Common. It's like, oh no, does Lupe do 1 or 2 things better than Common? Absolutely. Does he have an I Used to Love Her? Does he have The Light? Mike, does he even have a 1999? Has like a street banger that we swear by as a hip hop classic in the community, like on some just rap shit? Like we swear by 199 on some rap shit, Mike, not on some hit shit. It's like, yo, that nigga spazzed on 199. Mike, you should have seen the look on your face when I bought up 1999 a couple weeks ago. Like your rap eyes lit up, the head in you lit up. That's that
I love
shit,
that record.
Nigga. You're right. Man, I seen that in your eye. Where does Lupe's records do that?
Yo, he killed that record, man. And not to mention,
name the Lupe record where you light up like that, Mike.
I was gonna name another Common record, right?
Right.
The Sixth
Common
Sense.
got records like that. You know what makes me like that? Man. When Hungry from One Day It All Makes Sense come on, I get like that about Common. I'm like, oh, he ripped that shit. Ooh.
Can't knock the hustle, but I seen Street Dreams deferred. Dark. What is like dark spots in my eyes when the scene occurred. Yeah, Sixth Sense is crazy.
Sixth Sense crazy. That's what I'm saying.
Too deep. I'm in too deep to sleep. Yeah, that's some of his best work.
Think about these records. So hold on, listen. Common got I Used to Love Her, The Corner.
Yeah.
Sixth Sense, 1999. Mike, this is on some rap shit. We not even talking about hits. We talking on some rap shit. I Used to Love Her wasn't a hit like that.
Nas the GOAT says, people love Lupe's music and songs. Y'all just don't. I'm not saying that.
No, that's not. No. In the lexicon, hip-hop culture, go ahead, Mike. No,
I was just going to say, man, we love Lupe's music as well, but we're just putting it in. And I hate to be comparative all of the time, but when we talk about people being all-time skill level and all of that stuff and being GOAT, then you have to compare it to certain things. And when we compare it to others in that group or that he's on a skill level with, the songs don't hit that same way.
Stop acting like.
Let me ask Nas the GOAT. Nas the GOAT is a Lupe fan. Do you think that Lupe made better songs than Common? You as a hip hop listener.
How about this? And this is all I'm saying. when y'all talk about like this lyricist thing and how lyrically inclined Lupe is, man, you remember that Common freestyle with KRS-One where he's going back and forth with KRS-One live on a freestyle?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of dudes that lyrically are inclined. If you want to say that Lupe is the most lyrically inclined of them all, that's fine. Where does that put you all time? Because it's like, well, Common has Resurrection and Like Water for Chocolate and B.
One Day It
And
All
One
Makes
Day It'll
Sense.
all make sense. And it's like,
Finding
come
Forever
on.
is even
Find
dope.
it, Mike. I forgot about Finding Forever. It's like, no, I get it. I remember when I heard Dumb It Down off the Cool, I was like, I don't think anybody's done that. I don't know if anybody else can do that. But this is also what I said. That's one song.
Yeah.
That's not a song not a career makes. And so does he have Dumb It Down? Yeah. Does he have Mural? Yeah.
Mural's crazy.
I listened to Mural today. I've been actually on a Lupe kick just about this show, just about what happened to make sure that I was ready to go and up the par with everything that I was saying. And I stand by the things that I'm saying, because here's the thing about it. All these records that even we're talking about, they're not held up the way that these Common records are even held up. You better not even talk about those Nas records or those Rakim records that I tried to forge a conversation on. And so we just need to understand who he is truly as an artist. Is this arguably our greatest lyrical tactician ever? Yes. Where that puts him all time is not even top 20, because cadence matters, flows matter, beat selection matters, song structure matters, how to make a song matters, quality of records matter, quality of albums matter, quality of catalogs matter. And so when you start encompassing all these things that it takes to be all-time great, we need to rate him fairly.
Unknown name with the super chat says, didn't realize how delusional Lupe fans are. As a Lupe fan
It's
myself,
been crazy. I didn't realize it either.
He says Lupe wouldn't agree with any of these chat dudes. What any of these chat dudes are saying.
I think that's funny.
Andre Shashir says, I used to love her is iconic.
That's what I mean. I used to love her. How about this? When The Source was doing their, like, I think 75 greatest rap songs of all time, like in the 90s still, Common hadn't even made The Light or Like Water for Chocolate yet. And I Used to Love Her was one of the 75 greatest songs in their minds. Like, Chi-Town wasn't even getting love like that. This is before Kanye shows up. This is before The Light gets made.
For real.
So I Used to Love Her was like that in hip-hop circles before The Shy ever blew up. Part of the reason why The Shy blew up is because I Used to Love Her got made.
T Nitty says Superstar, Kick Push, Paris and Tokyo, Murals.
No.
Very nice songs.
And what I have said and tried to come on here and say last week is that actually if he had more Kick Push, more Superstar, more Paris and Tokyo, this would be more viable conversations. Mike, Black Thought may break you off. You Got Me.
Yeah.
The
Never do what they do.
D'Angelo off Philadelphia.
Never
Proceed.
do what they do.
What they do. No, these are Black Thought penned records. It's like, does he have those? Is lyrically, is he better than the Jizza? Yeah. Mike, there's a whole instrumental tape out of Liquid Swords. Has he ever picked beats like that before? That's why I was like, he doesn't have a Liquid Swords. And people are like, yes, he does. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He's never rapped over beats like that.
I would love to hear him rap over beats like that.
I would love to hear him rap over beats like that. That's why I bought up Liquid Swords, because I'm like, this is when a all-time great lyricist chooses all-time great beats, and these are the results.
And, and since he has such a quick turnaround with his material, I would love to see him get with the producer and they just do a joint effort together, like a Mad Lib or like, even with what Black Thought's doing. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see that with Lupe. The Truest with the Super Chat says, y'all admitted that Lupe is lyrically better. That's just full stop. Plus, you're hyping up Rakim's songs no one ever brings up. Really? Come on.
Okay,
Chris,
so we need to stop
trolling.
this. Hold on, can I stop right quick? No, he's not trolling, because I think something is going on that people need to understand. First of all, when we come in here and we laud and we tout Rakim, first of all, I'm proud to tout Rakim on this show, because I take knowing Rakim and Cool G Rap and KRS-One and Slick Rick and LL Cool J's catalog as a mark of what I know about hip-hop, because they're not from my era. Mike, when you sent me that flyer, what did I text you back? I was like, I wasn't even 5 years old yet. I was 4 years old when My Melody and Eric B as president got made. Rakim's not from my era. I am familiar with them because there was no saying that you were ahead at a time when I was coming up. You couldn't call yourself ahead without getting acquainted and familiar with these guys.
Yeah.
The way that you guys are acquainted with Lupe, no, it's not okay for you to call yourself ahead and not be acquainted with Rakim the same way. If you're not familiar with Lyrics of Fury and Follow the Leader and Microphone Fiend and Know the Ledge and Teach the Children, Let the Rhythm Hit 'Em, Mahogany, In the Ghetto, Pass the Hand Grenade, Casualties of War.
No Omega.
No,
and you're not even talking about the
hits. It's not
hits.
okay. Like, I'm here to let you know that that's not okay and you're wrong and you need to get your hip-hop shit together. Like, I'm pulling people's hip-hop cards from now on.
Well,
if they don't
you
know
know
Rakim. Rakim came out when I was 4 years old. I know almost every rhyme he ever written because the heads that were around me let it be known. Ain't no being no head and you don't know Rakim stuff, Coop. Knowing KRS-One stuff. This is required reading in here. Lupe being a superior lyricist doesn't mean you get to skip the reading.
You know, I've been to 2 Rakim concerts. You and I went to the last one. That was
crazy.
last
I shouldn't have to tell people to listen to Rakim on this show.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But every show I went to 2 Rakim shows, and I'm looking forward to going to some more. Rakim has those records that, and pretty much his whole show, everybody is in the audience rapping every single word. And that's a tribute to, like what you said, he makes songs. He could go out there and do Lyrics of Fury and have the whole crowd lost. He
could have made a career out of making Lyrics of Fury. He showed himself capable of that in '88.
Yeah. Nas the GOAT says, hold on one second. All right. He says he has some better songs. I gave y'all 37 songs. Do you have that list?
No,
let me
I have to go back through it. But this is what I mean. Is like those songs that they bought up, the only way, on the only level that those 37 songs measure against Rakim's 30 best, or you can go 30 for 30, is lyrically. Everywhere else Rakim has him. That's what I'm saying. Is like, if we have a lyrical conversation, yes, it's a conversation. But when in hip hop have we ever crowned somebody for just being the most lyrical? Eminem. If that's the case, but that's what I'm saying. But he doesn't make the real conversations because we understand what Tupac brings to the table, like vocally and passion and intangible wise. Right. Well, we understand what Nas brings to the table, storytelling and lyrically proficient in a way that you can understand wise. We understand what Biggie's voice is. We understand what Jay's double entendres do. We understand what Ice Cube and Chuck D's political rhetoric does. We understand what Scarface's morbid thought process does. You get what I'm saying? So many of these guys have so many tools that don't have anything to do with lyrical veracity and the use of literary devices.
Christopher Hogan says,
fucking got it, Mike. You get what I'm saying? Like, you got it.
Christopher Hogan says,
you got it.
Christopher Hogan says, hip hop saved my life is a game changer. You know,
like,
it's
you just need to do your homework. Like,
hold on. I want to stop with that. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
It's a dope song, but what did it actually change in the game? And I'm not saying that to be facetious or anything. I think we're just loosely using game changer. Now, it might mean a lot to you, but I don't think it was game changing in a sense where he dropped that and everybody was like, yo, man, I need me a song like that. Great record.
I think it's a special record. I'm actually glad she brought up that record. I think that's one of his better records where he does his lyrical thing but makes a great song. Part of the reason why I like drill music in Zion is because I thought there were a few examples of that on here too. Mm-hmm. I do want to walk back one of my comments. This is not a better album than Test 2 and Youth.
Okay.
So I do want to walk that back. It had been a while since I had listened to it from beginning to end. It is another one of those super long players from him, hour and 20 minutes long. Test 2 and Youth is his second best album after The Cool, in my opinion. I would probably put this one third because of the quality of song making and lyricism combined, coupled with a conciseness that actually makes this project relatively enjoyable. He has a couple of native tongue moments and a couple of To Pimp a Butterfly moments on here. And I mean that in a complimentary way in terms of how he's executing the song.
LP with the super chat says, Lupe's diehards are like Kobe fans who ever seen Michael Jordan play and swear that he's the best player ever, who's never seen Michael Jordan play and swear he's the best player ever. Yeah, if you never seen MJ play, you would think that. Yeah,
I lived in Cali when Kobe was in his 20s after Shaq left. I've never seen nothing like that. Cali supports like nobody business.
Oh, definitely. Ryan Gillum with the super chat says, I have tattoos over The Cool. I think y'all need to listen to that album again because it deserves to be in his top 5 best albums.
No,
Yep.
it's probably his second best album. I listened to it today. It's not better than The Cool, and here's why. It doesn't have Go Go Gadget Flow, Dumb It Down, Paris and Tokyo, Hip Hop Saved My Life, Superstar. Like those 5 records right there.
Mad Max with the super chat says, LP no Kobe slander, laughing my ass off. Lupe ain't no Kobe to nobody. More like
Right.
D Rose fans that swear by him because of 2011, or T Mac fans that say he's better than Kobe. I
It's not
fuck
that
with T
bad.
Mac.
He sustained himself better than that as an MC, so that's not fair.
I love
That's-
T Mac. I think T Mac was incredible.
I think T Mac was incredible. I mean, T Mac's the only person that I saw that could actually like handle Kobe in his prime. Like
He
shot for
was
shot.
better. Look, I keep it a buck. There was a 1 or 2 year period he was better than Kobe.
Yes, there was a 2-year period he was better than Kobe.
Yeah.
But then Kobe became the defensive player that he became. That's
Yeah,
why that's why the game's played on 2 sides of the court.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
What is this? Kamisho says Lupe Fiasco is a Grammy Award winning artist. What are we talking about, Coop? What are we talking about? Are we talking about the Grammys? I'll let you answer that, Coop.
No, okay, so this is what I mean. I go back to this whole microphone fiend record. And this is why I bring up the whole Where's Your Microphone Fiend record. And I use Microphone Fiend as this example because of my studies of hip hop history, because I don't know before Microphone Fiend if I had ever heard a hip hop single where the point was for the guy to be super lyrical and show you that he was better MC and lyrically wise than everybody who was around, but still giving you a banger at the same times. I call that the Tupac Biggie Small special, Mike, except for Rakim did it first. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I melted microphones instead of cones of ice cream, music orientated. So when hip hop was originated, fitted like pieces of puzzles. Complicated.
Listen,
I grab the mic and try to say, yes, y'all. They try to take it and say that I'm too small. Cool. Because I don't get upset. I pull a hole in the plug in the speaker, then I jet back to the lab without a rhyme to grab. So then I add up all the rhymes I had, one after another. Like he talking to you about his process of him being the fiend of the microphone while he's making you nod your head. Show me where Lupe does that. Show me the Microphone Fiend record. How many times I got to jump on here and say that shit? There is a reason that I say that. He is the turning point for MCs where it's like, no, I'm lyrical and I know how to make the banger.
Nobody, and you know, just how I feel about Wilt, nobody builds onto rhymes like Rakim does. Like no one does that. Like one line leads up to the next line, leads up to the next line, and it's like he's building a tower, bar for bar.
Literally stacking, yes.
And you're actually seeing the whole picture come together. Like No Omega, he did a lot of that.
Yes, it was No Omega.
Yeah,
yes.
When he was just talking about the explosives and just how that whole thing built. I've never heard anybody rhyme like that before or after.
He's breaking it down,
now,
Mike.
What I will say too, on top of that, and they want to talk about these records ain't last long. Do y'all know how many people are taking their bars from old Rakim records? When you listen to Grinding, when you listen to Jay on Blue Magic, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. And for somebody to say that his stuff is not heralded like that, he's everywhere. You can't even like quantify where Rakim is. He's everywhere.
This is what I keep saying. Like, this is how he sounds. People have to understand, Microphone Fiend's like #1 on the rap charts when it comes out. And this is how the guy's rapping on there. Any entertainer, I got a torture chamber one-on-one, and I'm the remainder.
LP with the super chat says,
He talking like this on a hit record. Okay?
It's you know what it is? It's like, and maybe some of our audience is too young for this too. It's like the viciousness of cannabis in an actual playable record.
Yes, that's who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually knows how to make the record. I brought up the whole mahogany thing last week intentionally to show that it's like, and even the whole let the rhythm him, it's like, no, it's like, this is what this guy sounds like when he's in love. He's still a tactician on the mic. Each moment's a mineral. Poetry's protein versus a vitamin affects like codeine. He's talking to a woman. when he's doing that. That's where Nas gets the rhyming is a vitamin held without a capsule from. He literally sampled his voice from Mahogany on New York State of Mind. That is where Nas gets the my rhyming is a vitamin held without a capsule. He didn't just pull from that part and make it into a hook that Primo did. He pulled from the whole song. Each moment's a mineral. Verse poetry's protein versus a vitamin's effects like codeine. Even when he's finessing a woman, he's lyrical. Mike, this dude's amazing.
Let me get to the super chat. LP says, them Rakim songs got brought up way more than the Lupe's best.
What's the lead song off the Juice soundtrack, which Tupac is like Bishop from Juice? What's the theme music? What's the theme music? The Juice. The Juice. Crazy. I got enough to go around, and the thought takes place uptown. I grew up on the sidewalk where I on street talked, and then halt the halt New York. What'd he say? I go from Queens to Coney to Manhattan to Brooklyn.
Nah, he said I go to Queens for Queens to get the crew from Brooklyn. Make money in Manhattan and never been taken. Go uptown to the Bronx and boogie down. Get strong on the island and recoup the lay around. Time to build my troops back up. Suckers stacked up, brothers getting knocked up, no doubt the clout. They know what I'm about. Knocking niggas off, knocking niggas out, shaking them up, breaking them up,
waking them up.
I mean, come on, man.
Standing on shaky ground too close to the edge. Let's see if I know the ledge.
It's crazy. LP with the super chat says...
It's 91, 92, you rapping like that, ain't it, Mike? We talking about Lupe? That's what I'm saying is like y'all need to have context. So when y'all pulled up last week talking about Coop don't know Lupe, it's like, nah, I think I know more Lupe than y'all know Rakim. What's your Rakim look like? Because you need to know him if you want to talk about lyrics and lyricism, because he is literally where it elevates itself. It's required reading in this motherfucker.
LP with the super chat says Ra equals no stage present. You have to know the words. Yeah, I mean, I think he does that because I think this is what it is. He's made such infectious songs that he's never had to be the performer that other people have had to be.
The legend of his songs is greater than him actually on stage. That's true. His songs are way bigger than his stage presence, but his songs are massive.
Andre Shashir, he never had.
The show, Mike.
Let's keep it real though. Mike. Let's keep it real though, Coop. He probably never really had to sell people on his records. Like certain people had
to say the words live early on. Mike, we went to a show. We pretty much wrapped the concert for him. He came on. Mike, you and me were doing the same thing. You and me were right next to each other, totally zoned the fuck out, rapping word for word. Everything
I wasn't even really paying attention.
We weren't even looking at each other. It's like we weren't even next to each other. Nigga, you wasn't even there when Rakim came on stage. I came in the door. I said it before. I never let the mic. We was all like that.
Yeah. How can you not?
How can you not?
I don't bug out of chill or be acting ill. No tricks in 86. Shit's time to build. Eric be easy on the cut. No mistakes allowed. Cause to me, MC was moving the crowd. I made it easy to dance to this. But can you not check what's coming next from the flex of the wrist? Taking needed, I proceed, because my man made a mix. If graffiti ain't gonna need no Band-Aid to fix. All right.
All I'm saying is like, okay, so Lupe can lyrically, like, do things that Rakim can't do. But if you're just standing things on a metric and on a scale, all things being even, what Rakim did in 86, 87, 88 is like borderline untouchable type of stuff. Yeah. And the fact that we have people coming in here that claims to be heads that don't know about this untouchable stuff is what I find to be problematic. You want to hold up Lupe? That's fine. But you better know your Rakim when you hold up Lupe the way that you do. You don't get to do one without the other up in here. You can take that shit to these other subsidiary publications that don't know they shit.
Andre Shashir says, I like Food and Liquor better than the new one.
I don't like Food and Liquor's production because I feel... This is another Pharrell thing. I felt like Pharrell tried too hard on Food and Liquor to make Lupe into a skateboard nerdy rapper. And I'm like, no, just let him be a kid from Chicago. That's going to work because we were literally watching it work with Kanye. Like we were watching it work with Kanye live. We were watching how Common had hit with the light. And it was like my thing with Lupe with Food and Liquor. Production wise was like, let Lupe be Lupe. Like stop all this like rock star skateboard, like nerd literally and NERD inspired stuff. So I didn't love the production.
So you speak of Kanye. What did you think about Lupe's appearance on Touch the Sky?
Love it. Brilliant. He actually stole the show.
You think so?
Yes. Let's slow it down like we're on the syrup. Peach fuzz buzz, but beard on the verge. Yeah, all that.
I
Hold on.
think Ye
What do you say?
owned
I'm
that
trying to stop
song.
lying like a mum ra, but I'm never lying when I'm laying on the beat. I'm
Oh God.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that
Yeah, I
guy that
love
I'm
his
talking
verse.
about. He's relatable, nerdy, flow is silky, charismatic. That's the guy I'm talking
Is
about.
that a production thing?
Part of it is the beat that he's riding. Yep.
But I mean,
He's brilliant on Touch the Sky, isn't he?
I like him on Touch the Sky. I think again, Kanye kind of gets you with personality.
What do you
With
say?
the
Cool has the unthawed, but I still feel possessed like a gun charge.
yeah,
Woo!
yeah,
That's before he made the Cool, by the way. Cool has an
it was.
unthawed, but I still feel possessed like a gun charge. No, that's the dude I'm talking about.
Yeah.
See, that guy's lyrical, delivery's there, flow is there, beat selection's definitely there because he's riding the Kanye track, and he's still
Or
lyrical.
Just Blaze, but yeah.
And hold on, and he's using the type of bars that niggas can relate to. When he's using the "I feel possessed like a gun charge," yeah, niggas gonna rock with that.
Ryan Gillum with the super
But when you
chat.
get on Dumb It Down, but you go, but I'm earless and I'm peerless. No, you're gonna lose some niggas. You're not losing Coop and Mike D, but you losing niggas when you do that. You understand that, right?
Ryan Gillum with the super chat says, as a Lupe fan, I'll admit, y'all tripping thinking that Lupe's better than Rakim. Yeah, I would hope anybody would say that. And like somebody said earlier, I think Lupe would even say that. JB
most
was
people
here
don't know
says
what Mum Ra means, Coop. Oh, I get it. Really?
JB was here says Rakim is Mount Rushmore. Yes. The Truest says Rakim equals Model T. Lupe equals 2022 Ferrari.
No, that's really disrespectful. I think you mean like what's that Corvette that hold on, what's that Porsche, the 66 Porsche? I think you mean 66 Porsche versus Shelby Cobra as incomparable. That's what you mean.
Well, let's move on. You want to talk about this crowd?
No, we need to rate the album, and we still need to dissect the album and get into songs about the album. So we can't just let it slide.
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I want to know your thoughts on the album because I've spent so much time on my diatribe and kind of clearing up from last week. That's why I'm saying is like I want to talk about the music of it because where I really got pissed off is I realized people were running up in here, they've been calling themselves head, that don't know shit about Rakim. It's a problem.
LP with the super chat says his radio attempts sound like they feature Skylar Grey. What? His radio attempts sound like they feature Skylar Grey. Yeah, I know what you mean.
will say this. This is one thing that I realized from pulling up Lupe's catalog. He has tried to make it work. There's a lot of R&B singing going on a lot of his songs throughout the duration of his career.
I like the album. You know what I'm saying? I think it's dope. I think that it's a top 5 album of 2022 so far.
Okay.
I like the concepts. I love that verse where he was like, what did he say? Like, niggas need to stop dying so much or stop killing so much.
Yeah, the way he ended the album.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like left and then he got back. And I think in the second verse, he talked about how he wanted to leave it right there to create a feeling. Yeah.
LP with a super chat says, now he raps about Assassin's Creed and Castlevania. Okay, well, I mean, listen, I think the album's dope. I think it's somewhere between, I think it's about a 4.25. That's where I'm going.
Okay, so this is what I mean about how he's deep. So the song Seattle, are you listening to what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know what he's talking about, right?
What's he talking about in Seattle?
He's talking about the riot that actually happened in Seattle. There was a big civil rights protest where like they stormed the streets. Our man Holla, who's from the 206, was there for all of that. So what they're singing on the hook is actually about the actual civil rights protest that was going on in Seattle a couple years ago because it was really bad up there. Our man Holla was there. Holla got footage. Holla and his wife was actually like in the streets up there. Okay. It wasn't that nice going on. So he's actually referencing that moment. And that's what I'm saying. You want to know why I know that? I know that because I keep myself abreast to the social unrest and the political issues. I know that because we both have a right-hand man who we used to be friends with and rap with, and Seattle's his home. And I know from sitting down with Holla one too many nights how dangerous the blocks on Seattle really are. So I may keep tabs on that shit because I love my man. I want to make sure him and his family's okay. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody don't have the reasons that I do to stay tapped in and tune in. He got a whole song about it on his album, Mike, that he's referencing. Everybody's not going to catch what he's putting down. Everybody catching what's going on Eric B's president.
So you think, and I want to kind of just, pull all this together. You think Lupe needs to, for efforts like this, to have maybe one or two songs that kind of break things down a little bit more, where it's a little bit more simplified to draw people in to all the other things that he's doing?
So I want to say drill music in Zion is his best pull on this album of that. Okay. And that's why I love that record. More of that.
Yeah.
It's understandable. It's relatable. He's not losing any of his lyrical complexity, dexterity, message. He's not losing anything from doing a record like Drill Music in Zion or Kiosk. I thought Kiosk could have been potentially the song of the year had the production been better and done right on it. Because here's another thing. It's almost like on some of these records, because he's so dope lyrically, the points to hear him and production suffers behind that. Kiosk is an example. Like, I love listening to Kiosk because of what he's saying and how he's saying and how he's framing it. But has like somebody that objectively listens to music, I'm like, man, you should have put this shit over a harder beat so people would catch the message. You feel me? Because what happens with him is that these guys in here that like him, like their heads. And so it's like, no, they're catching Lupe's messages.
Well, what makes him any different than like somebody like a Currency or something? It's just
that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's almost like a niche market type of thing. And it's like, well, no,
and I think that's
your
cool.
Capabilities, like, no, his capabilities and some of his song making capabilities is better than what his output is. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm saying, like, when he actually does stuff like Drill Music and Zion, I'm like, oh, you can do this. When I go listen to The Cool, it's like, oh, you can do this. Like, you're making a conscious choice to be this different, because your conscious choice to be this different, it hurts your legacy as an MC. Make more songs people like. Like, it's not costing you anything. You can go look in your own city and look at Ye and look at Common. It's not going to cost you anything. It costs Common nothing to make The Light and Come Close. Mike, I was listening to Come Close.
I love Come Close.
I was listening to Come Close the other day while I was cleaning the kitchen. I was like, run that shit back. I was in the kitchen watching dishes upstairs, and I was like, run that shit back. That's
a beautiful record. I want to clear, speaking of Common, man, I want to clear up something from last episode, too. And I know it was some people or somebody in the chat that thought we were just dissing Chicago.
We weren't.
I want to be, I love Chicago, man. Shout out to Damaris, shout out to Billa, man. Chicago, is a big part of our base, too.
I'm about to say, we got a big following in Chi-Town.
Yeah. This is my thing. And I was just being honest about, the music that Common makes and what I see when it comes to, I don't want to say social activism, but just politics, right? It feels like, to me, hip-hop is very vocal on politics and whatever's going on in the community when Republicans are in office. But when the Democrats are in office, it seems like everybody shuts up. And it's like, nobody's talking about the food shortages. Nobody's talking about the baby formula shortages. Nobody's sitting here talking about what the gas prices are. But, and all I'm saying is, I just don't see that same energy, and it makes it tough to listen to certain artists who not only don't give that same energy, but you're out here actively campaigning for people who are responsible for a lot of this stuff. And, and more of a direct correlation. I think of songs like Song for Asada, right?
I knew you were going there.
Off of Like Water for Chocolate.
It hurts, man.
It hurts when, you make such a beautiful record like that, about Tupac's aunt, and her asylum and everything that's going on with her in Cuba. But yet, at the same time, you're out here skinning and grinning with the people who elevated her status to being the most wanted woman in America. And it makes me feel like, okay, explain some of this. Do you still feel the same way you said in the record about Asada? I don't understand. So it's like, when things aren't addressed, and we're going to talk about this with Kendrick too, it just makes it tough to follow musically where people are going when it comes to, I guess you would say, like the social conscious MC, because we're quick to call out the gangster rapper when they're studio thugs and when they're not keeping it real or whatever. But when somebody who is supposed to be conscious is not living by the things that they're saying in those conscious records, we say nothing. Keep it real goes all the way around. And all I was saying in the last episode was when it comes into those things get addressed either musically or in an interview, it's tough for me to listen to those same old messages from artists who are sitting in positions with people that are in position, help getting them in position and doing nothing. I can't do it.
So, with all of that being said, let's unpack a couple things. First of all, you need to state your political affiliation right now.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm black.
Independent.
I have no political affiliation. How could I?
Where do you sign up for that so people
stuff?
Understand where we're coming from, because I know that you don't have a political
affiliation.
What's
that you
I know
claim?
I'm independent. So Mike and I are not Democrat or Republican. All we see is the fuckery.
It's like, what set you claim? Like, what was there ever a time when somebody...
We don't have no sets. Like, we throwing up gang signs from the independent sidelines. Mike literally has no political affiliation. I am literally registered as an independent. I don't belong to the Democrats or the Republican because...
Leroy Green said something I want to address real quick. Hold that thought. He said Common can't fix Chicago by himself. I'm not asking him to fix anything. Just speak on the bullshit equally. That's all I'm saying.
That's all he's saying. First of all, the reason that I'm independent and part of the reason why you're free of thought and free of all this, well, quite frankly, if me and Mike want to deal with some hustlers and some pimps and some gangsters, we would still be rappers, or we would just go to our respective family reunions. So fuck all of that. Now, as far as this issue is concerned, what we have is we have black men who are not versed in the political arena, in the nuances of the political arena, really the way that they should be. And they find themselves biting off more that they can chew at the detriment of their credibility in their career. And that's really what Mike is speaking to. Is he's speaking to a man biting off more than he can chew, because you are not prepared to swim in these waters. You think that because you are from the streets of Chicago that you are ready to deal with these antiquated, misogynistic, sometimes homosexual, bipartisan, always tied to the money and racism, institutionalized as white people. It's not a good way to align yourself. And so what Mike is speaking to is the misalignment, not even by political party or affiliation. Also, too, Mike is also making very astute observations. These niggas only pop up with problems when Republicans is in office, while white folks focusing on dog and yoga. My people on the low end trying to ball and get over.
Yeah, Bush
pushing
lies.
He was saying that in an election year.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that in an election year. And so people need to pay attention about how, I hate to say this, we can still be bought. Because our economic inequality, like I read a meme the other day, Mike, where it's like, and I've done mortgage loans before, so I know this is real. When white people are in their early 20s sometimes, and they're ready to buy a house, they often have family members that have $50,000 to $100,000 already saved up to gift them to buy a house. It is a type of economic inequality that keeps us from having some things. Those economic inequalities, they happen on every level, even at the highest level. Listen to Common on B. What does he say on They Say? I be doing something when paper get low. Lil' calm, I make righteous bitches get low. You remember when he said that? Like, as in, for money, I'll sit up there and make the intelligent bitches shake their ass and believe whatever they got to believe for. He's saying that on beat. He even made a joke about, Lil' calm, I make righteous bitches get low. The richest nigga ain't necessarily the nigga with dough. But he's still playing those games if you're reading between the lines. And so economics in this sphere still matter. And the economic inequality that we are faced with still makes men, even in Common's economic position, do bad things.
But it's interesting, though, and again, this is one of the things that...
It's very poor decision making. I'm not going to call him a sellout. because he's my
one
brother.
of the things
Just
is
there's some poor decision making going on.
yeah, one of the things that's problematic though is the fact that with his diss record at Cube back in the day, that was the angle he took, the hypocrisy, right?
I told you slinging St. Ives and bean pies in the same sentence. It's the coldest diss ever.
It is, but it's funny how it came back and somebody could turn that table on him. It's but again, if we're gonna hold Cube to that standard, and he held Cube to that standard as a fan, why shouldn't I do the same thing?
Can I unpack something that you mind if I unpack something briefly that you brought up?
No, go ahead.
These conscious rappers are more phony than the gangster rappers. Most of these dudes that are talking about some of their stuff have lived some sort of semblance of the lifestyle that they're talking about.
Jay tells you who he is from the jump, and you can say whatever you want about Jay. Jay tells you he a hustler. He gonna do this. He gonna get his bread. So you don't be surprised by anything he does. He's up front.
How many times have I come up here and I've been like, well, he's a hustler, homie, and he told you so. Yeah. How many times have I come up here and been like, well, I like Pusha T because at least I know Pusha T's rapping about shit that actually happened to him. Have you heard Brambleton lately? Maybe Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe. Mike, you know what I was thinking about when you said Let the Smoker Shine the Coupe should start off the album? I said it doesn't because then he can't use the bar. If I never sold dope for you, then you're 95% of who? I always told you about how Hell Hath No Fury started off where he was like, a 411 Cuban helped us weather the storm. I said, that's that real gangster talk. I said, hold on. I was like, stop, pause. I said, no, the niggas that's really in this life talk that way. Like, it's easy for a nigga to be like, I went up on my block. I copped some work. I sold a brick. It's like, yeah, nigga, I know. When you talk a 411 Cuban helped us weather the storm, it's like, oh, this shit, these niggas about to get indicted. Somebody going to jail. Mike, and what happened a few years later? Everybody got indicted except for them and went to jail. Give me those niggas. Because all they talk about is selling dope. And it's like, well, no, nigga, they did that shit. So what about this conscious-ass rapper that you can't rely on to make a classic album? Jay Electronica.
Yo, Joshua Stone.
Talib Kweli, Black Thought. How many classic rap albums they giving you of their truth? Because their truth might be like more conscious and you might be more like noteworthy. Give me that nigga on Hell Hath No Fury.
Somebody in the chat said something that I'll address. Somebody said something in the chat I'll address. I usually don't like addressing anything that's not super chat, so maybe it's trolling. But he said that Mike voted for Kanye, so I can't take him serious. Well, first off, I did not vote for Kanye. And second off, I think that that's everyone's problem in the first place. You don't listen to the words that are being said. You're so caught up in what you think somebody's doing or this affiliation and that, and you let that make you throw everything out the way. Am I saying something that's incorrect? Analyze what I'm saying, not what you think that I've done or whatever. Am I saying something that's incorrect?
No, you're right. Like, I just know this because a lot of people have come up in here since we started this, and they'd be like, oh, well, y'all like the cocaine rappers and like all the dope boys. It's like, no, that nigga Conway really got like hit up and almost murdered though. Like, what about like your conscious rapper that's sitting up here telling you that he's living righteous, but he got fucking 4 baby mamas and ain't never been married, but he's telling you need to do the right thing by your girl. You feel me? You feel me? It's like, no. Give me that nigga that got shot and is looking for the niggas that shot him. I know that nigga. I can trust that guy. It's like, oh, somebody hit you up. You looking for the niggas who did it? You should be. I trust that.
Okay, well, on that note, man, what did you think about this crown that Kendrick Lamar was wearing?
Just real quick before we get to our false prophet of the day, I want to give Lupe the same rating you actually gave. I thought this was a 4.25. I thought it was an album of the year contender. I thought the production suffered at some moments where it could have been highlighted more, like Kiosk that I love. I want to say something special about Lupe too, because I wrote down this bar as soon as I wrote it. Whenever you're saying stuff like this, you're special, because he's saying it on the first song, the Gotti song, when he's talking about you decide, or apple pies and fries that come with the snake. He's talking about how the fast food in the hospital community are intertwined to kill the black person. That's how he's starting off his album. He's literally talking about the hospital staff that actually has a snake in it because it actually represents something demonic, which is why you shouldn't totally trust hospitals. He literally breaks that down to start off his album. This is what I'm trying to say. It's heavy. Mike, I know this and you know this. Not only are we heads, but we're also intelligent guys and thinkers and free thinkers and well-versed. That connects with you and me and very few of other people outside of that realm. When he said that, I said, niggas ain't even gonna catch this.
Yeah. And I think Lupe is good with that. You know what I mean?
Or apple pies and fries come with the snake. He's talking about McDonald's. He's talking about your medical help and how fast food is killing you. He's talking about the whole breakdown of the hospital organization in 2 bars. And unless you're versed on all these things, you're literally going to miss all his greatness. But here's what I know that you can understand. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I melted microphones instead of cones of ice cream. Music orientated, so when hip hop was originated, fitted like pieces of puzzles. What is it, Mike?
Complicated.
Okay.
The GOAT. And from one GOAT to another, man.
Okay.
Kendrick Lamar got on stage. We've seen it. And people were talking about it. They wanted us to talk about it last episode. He's actually been wearing this this crown of thorns a lot. But some more information from the crown came out from the makers of this crown. Let's see. I want to find the one in the box. There we go. Tiffany and Company. They created this. It took them, I want to get the actual numbers and stuff, how long it took them to make it. But it was a lot of effort put into putting this together. What are some of your thoughts on Kendrick continuously wearing this crown of thorns?
I mean, I think people that follow the show know that I'm a believer. I'm actually going to share something about me that people don't know. My father's a Muslim. I've actually practiced Ramadan with my brothers and my father once. I have 3 older brothers. They're Muslim as well. My mother's Southern Baptist Christian. I was raised on my mother's side of the family. I didn't meet my father regularly till I was 19. Me and my pop's super cool. Chopping up the other day. My pops is an Ohio player and a real one. And a Muslim. And so I speak about this from somebody who has Muslim ties directly in my family, because my father's one. Somebody who has Christian ties directly, because my mother is a disciple and a prophet. And I also have people around me that are blessed with certain things. It's as disrespectful can be. If he were to mock the Jewish community in this manner, or the Islamic community in this manner, the vitriol that he would receive and the backlash that he would receive, like, first of all, he wouldn't be able to walk the streets of LA comfortably if he was doing this with the Muslims, because they have a heavy presence out there. He would never do anything slanderous in the Muslim community like this, like they would have that ass, just straight up and down like that. He would not do this to the Jewish community because of their power and their influence.
In entertainment specifically.
In entertainment sphere specifically. And so the fact that he is doing this to my religion isn't what I'm taking issue with. I'm taking issue with low-hanging fruit and him thinking that he can get away with it. He is a phony, Mike. He's a phony. And I'm going to say this carefully. First of all, to Terminator, I didn't like Nas with Hate Me Now and didn't agree with it. I didn't agree with the Machiavelli cover, and that was before I was ever into my faith, and I didn't agree with it. I definitely don't agree with it now. And what he's doing is 10 times worse than that, because he is literally walking around, had Tiffany Company make him a diamond-encrusted crown of thorns. Who is this guy?
It said it required more than 1,300 hours of work.
No, really.
Crafting and 8,000 diamonds. 8,000.
Who is this guy? Because of the run J. Cole's on, I'm not even certain if we have you rated properly as the best MC of your generation. Like, what are you doing? This guy is so lost and so out of touch because this community has mistakenly placed him so high on one album that I couldn't even appreciate the replay value of until he dropped the subpar piece of shit that he just dropped. Like, when are people going to stop holding him up so high so that he doesn't feel enabled and enamored to do these things? Like, on a personal level, I'm insulted. But as a hip-hop head, it's like, well, who the fuck are you? Because I can't even compare you to Lupe lyrically because you don't belong in that discussion lyrically, actually.
Man with the super chat says,
like, you're not even Lupe lyrically. It's like, who is he really? Because, like I said, we waited 5 albums for him to give us subpar product, go to Ghana, go to London, and put a crown of thorns on his head, made by Tiffany and Company. If you believe what I believe, this is the epitome of blasphemy. Man. It says the people who sit at the top of their professions around major nations around the world are going to be the main one who blasphemize his name. What would you call this? If you believe anything what I believe, what would you call this? Like, this is literally sign of the times type stuff where it says people who shouldn't are going to behave this way because they've been emboldened and empowered to by the people to think that they are prophet and Christ-like. So it's like literally like blasphemy, sign of the time. This nigga fake, this nigga phony, this nigga came outside and went to Ghana and then went to London. I ain't seen this nigga in Compton yet. Anybody seen him in Compton where he's from?
Man,
anybody seen the nigga in LA?
Let me get to the super chat. Have we seen him in
this time sphere?
Let me get to the super chat real quick.
You see, no. You see how fake and phony niggas act while we talking about we tired of Pusha T's cocaine bars. It's like, no. Pusha T lives what he talks about. This nigga's a fake and a phony, a fraud on every level, Mike, especially in terms of as an artist and a musician who we just waited 5 years for, and he gave us a fucking lead plate. Ain't nobody playing Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, including you.
I like
so
that.
He's just bad all the way around.
Man there with the super chat says, Kenny.
Shout out to Lupe for actually building a foundation in Chicago and backing up his conscious rhetoric. How about that? Where's Kendrick's foundation in Compton at?
Man there with the super chat says, Kenny looks like a clown. That crown was disrespectful. Clown. He says it's disrespectful.
He's a phony. He's a phony and a false prophet. Like, on every level. Whatever you think about him, because here's the thing. No. Kendrick is my brother. I'm saying this to him because he is my brother. Like, Malcolm X used to talk about Dr. King a certain type of way because he loved him, not because he hated him. It's like, no, I do love you. You're my brother. Stop that fuck shit, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, I'm the type of dude, like I told you this, I'm the type of dude that I lived out in Cali while Kobe was in his prime Kobe run. And I'm like, nigga, what are you doing? Stop acting that way towards your folks. So it's like, if I do that shit to Kobe in Cali, when Kobe's like Kobe in Cali, it's like, no, this nigga's not above anything. And we got to stop treating these guys like they're above it. That's why they behave this way. That was my problem with the whole 5-year break. Oh, no, he's coming. He's our guy. It's like, he's not our guy. You're the one that told me his rhetoric is very problematic. It is.
Yeah. Brian with the super chat says, one person in hip-hop I do give a lot of credit to is Charlemagne. He always holds politicians accountable in interviews. He rightfully blamed the Democrats' inaction over the years for Roe versus Wade. Are you talking about the Charlemagne that let Joe Biden sit across from him and tell him that if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, and didn't say anything?
There's a lot of sucky shit going on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really holding somebody accountable. That's really holding somebody accountable. I mean, I think, I will say this, and I'll give Charlemagne credit on this. He does do the balancing act the best out there. And he understands how much grassroots he can be and how much mainstream he can be. But one thing I will say, man, when I remember watching The Breakfast Club early on, because I've always been a fan of all of them individually and followed them individually before they even got together. I remember in the early episodes, Charlemagne always would say, I can't wait to sell out because that means somebody bought in. And, and anybody who says anything like that, I kind of take whatever they say with a grain of salt.
I mean, he just, it's like
entertaining though,
No, it's like, I be wanting to support dudes, but it's like, we're all grown men. And so at the end of the day, there's going to be a separation of some things, some thoughts, some ideologies, and some ideas. And what I find happening in these days and times with the black men who are in positions of sphere of power, they're not as well informed as the public thinks that they are, but the public takes their information like law because of the gravitas that these guys have. Kendrick has a lot of gravitas in the black community because he made To Pimp a Butterfly. You know? He does. It only comes because he made To Pimp a Butterfly. It's not because he made Good Kid, Mad City. But I keep telling everybody, it's like, but he's really the guy that made Good Kid, Mad City. Like, To Pimp a Butterfly is a thoughtful piece. It's a talking point. It's not really who he is. And you hear that it's not really who he is because you hear on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers how the pressure of making that album has affected him and changed his whole course to the point that this man literally released the most anticipated album of this past decade and didn't even stay in the United States to promote it. What is that telling you?
Well,
like,
see,
people aren't paying attention.
This is the problem, though, Coop. I mean, and see, I feel the opposite. I felt like when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly, I'm like, okay, this is really him. Whereas, but see, I don't. The thing is with K-Dot or with Kendrick,
it's not.
We don't.
And you're seeing it now.
But see, Coop, the thing is, we don't know anything because he doesn't sit down and interview and talk about any of this stuff. We don't even know. And see, that's my thing too. Like, even if the piece with the thorns and all that is whatever, sit down and talk to people and explain what that really means to you and actually have dialogue on it. It's like we're at a point now where people get so big that everything's left for interpretation. And if you want us to leave this to interpretation, we're just going to say it's disrespectful until you go out there and give us real reason that makes sense to everybody and not just go on anything you say, but at least attempt to talk to the people about something like this.
The oldest, okay, so, no, you...
I want to go with this super chat from Mad Max though, real quick while you get your thought together. It said, the thing with the tiara is K-Dot supposed to be a Hebrew Israelite. I follow the camps, so his reason for wearing the crown goes against the Bible and what these Israelite camps teach. Also,
let's
stop. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, finish.
No. Also, he was just saying. Also, it's a $3 million tiara.
Okay,
allegedly.
So let's unpack a couple things. Let's keep it hip hop. Nas is like the Afrocentric Asian, half man, half amazing. Okay, original man. Okay, we are the original man. Okay, Christianity didn't get bought here on a slave ship. Okay. The original founder of the Roman Catholic Church is a black man. We call him Peter. It's one of Jesus's disciples. Peter is from Syria. The land of Galilee is in Syria. Never has a white person come from Syria. Okay? So the person who is considered to be the founder of the Roman Catholic Church, who is Peter, comes from Syria. That's a man of color. So the original Asiatic Hebrew is an original man, is a form and a shape of a black man. Okay? So you're coming from a place in a space where even if you don't believe in Christ, you believe in original man, you believe in the black man. That's who we are. That's where we come from. That also means we are partially Jewish. Okay? Hebrew. All right? Listen to all these things that I'm unpacking. All right? The Muslims, the Prophet Muhammad. Do you know why Islam is even still here? People were not with Islam early on. Muhammad fled to Ethiopia under the guise of Christian rulers to help keep Islam alive. Muhammad used to invite Buddhists, Hindus, and Christians to conferences every year when he first started Islam. People need to know their history and stop all this separation. It was his successor, I believe Akbar, I can't remember Muhammad's successor's name, who actually is the one that created the separation between Christianity and Islam. Islam doesn't even exist without Christian protection early on. It wasn't big enough. There were people who were against Muhammad. He says very dangerous things. He's uninformed. I get to the root of shit. You feel what I'm saying? And so when I'm coming up here and speaking, understand you're talking to somebody whose father's Muslim, mother's Christian, almost joined the Nation of Islam, have read almost every religious text. It's like, no, don't slide your pseudo information past me. And what he's really doing is he's taking minimal information, about 5-10%, and he's feeding it to y'all like it's 85 to 95%. And that's what I have a problem with. He doesn't even know the core history of Islam or Christianity to be speaking this way. He doesn't know either. And since you don't know either, people like me who do are going to politely tell you to shut the fuck up and know your place and stop feeding these people lies, false prophecy, and misinformed provisions, quite frankly. He's very problematic for me right now because he doesn't know what he's talking about on either side. Mike, when he talk, I'm like, nigga, you don't know who you are or what you are or where you come from, nigga. You don't know nothing. You done almost read too many books. He's almost like, there's niggas that's read too many books, Mike, and it's like they take a piece from over here, a piece from over there, and they be the most lost ones. They really do. They be the real lost ones. It's like, I'm going to take a piece from this and that spirituality. I'm going to take from piece from this. It's like, no, nigga, what you believe in? And ride with that. You don't even know what you believe in. So you disappear for 5 years and pop up with a crown of thorns on your head, but you call yourself original man in Hebrew. What the fuck are you doing? Do you even know what the Torah is? Like most people talk about these court of laws that we live in and how they don't agree with them. The court of law that we live in America is based on Leviticus and Deuteronomy. Do your research. Do your work.
As Leroy Green said, Kendrick said himself, he is not your savior. You know,
But he be talking like he's our savior, so maybe he should stop saying that after he's been talking about it and disappeared. And then they went to Ghana and went to London. Bring your ass out in these American streets where your people are struggling. How about that? Never seen some weak ass shit like this. At least that's why I said at least Lupe be 10 toes down in Chicago creating foundations and doing the real work. So let's separate the difference. Lupe, proper conscious. As in, we can go look at his actionable work and see that he actually backs up the conscious rhetoric that he talks. Kendrick, fucking fraud to the highest degree. That's the nigga that's going to Tiffany Company and making crowns. How about you take that money that you spent making a crown and go start an organization for those kids in Compton who need help? Right, with your weak ass. I hope this shit make it to him too. This nigga just went to Tiffany Company and got a crown of thorns like he's some sort of prophet. When there's niggas out here hurting from your community. I done been in your community before. This nigga should be ashamed of himself. And y'all should be ashamed of him for supporting him, especially after he just got done dropping this mid. Stop supporting this nigga in this, 13, how many hours to make this diamond? For what? What?
It was like, did it say 1,300 hours or something? But listen, man.
Bro.
You know what? I feel where you're coming from.
These are all facts. I'm speaking religious history and facts that you can go check up on. This nigga's a fraud.
You know what?
No, he's just a fraud. He didn't do anything personally to me. I just hate it when somebody like Kendrick gets treated like some sort of prophet. But you tell me you're tired of hearing Pusha T talk about cocaine. I'm like, at least one of them niggas is telling us the truth.
Well, you know,
right.
It's Wednesday. We had a brief little Bible study right there with the facts and some history. Now, what I do want though,
studying history, the Prophet Muhammad.
And if this does make it to him, I just want him to actually do an interview with people, man. Like sit down with Big Boy or whoever. And,
he's not well read enough to do that. Like man. He get assassinated. Like I want to interview him because I'm gonna tear his whole shit up because I can tell people who read these things can tell the people who can't. That's why I'm saying the things that I'm saying with confidence.
Well, I told you when I heard some of the skits and stuff and some of the rhetoric on Damn, I told you back then, I was like, some of this stuff is dangerous, man. And it sounded ill-informed.
Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's not well-read or versed. That is the definition of a false prophet. Somebody that steps out into the public sphere and can take their stature and let it exceed their actual intelligence and knowledge of a situation to the point that it takes effect on a culture.
But he sounds so good. You know what I mean? Like he sounds so good and he's so lyrically skilled. Yep. It comes out so well that, you know.
You waited 5 years and he did what? He came, I can't please everybody. It's like, oh, that's your prophet?
No, but I was even listening to Damn, and like I said, as a music fan, because all right, that's twofold, right? You're listening to it for the aesthetic, you're listening to sonically, and then you're listening to the words actually being said. I'm like, yo, this shit is dope, but even though this stuff is dope, some of the stuff he's saying I don't particularly agree with, but it's dope. But like you said, I mean, when information's incorrect or misleading, and then you got, you know, a crown of thorns that's left unexplained, and it's, I don't know, man. It's problematic all around, and it comes across as something else. But like you said, to start this whole thing off, I don't think anyone should disrespect anyone else's beliefs or religions, or just be respectful to everybody's stuff. Because there's certain people or certain groups that you would never disrespect or do anything that even looks close to disrespect. We see what happened to Nick Cannon when he said something that he thought was historically accurate, whatever, how that went down. He's apologizing quick to get his shows back.
No, so this is what I mean about how you got to be careful what people feel. So people act like I'm treating Kendrick this way. I'm going to tell you something personal that happened to me. All right? So people understand how serious it is when you play with people's faith. I told you I have 3 older brothers who are Muslim, and my father's Muslim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I am speaking facts right now. If anybody want to come and dispute the facts that I'm saying, I'll give you my number. I'll put it in the chat. You can come challenge me on it any day. I'm very well read in things outside of hip hop. I showed up to my father's house on my father's birthday. Okay. One of my brother's wives had a whole bunch of food on the grill that she was about to cook because all my brothers were out at work. My father's wife was about to have hip surgery, so she's been a little down. They were the only 2 people there. So I grabbed the food and I started cooking. I hadn't planned to stay. I actually just came to kick it with Pops for a minute. I really only planned on staying about an hour. But as a man, seeing there was a job to be done, the homie Coop is there. One of my brothers got very disrespectful to me, and he changed our relationship forever that night. He had bought the food, and he had some lamb that needed to be prepared. And my other brother, our brother's wife, bought the food out to be prepared. They all know my beliefs are different from theirs. Keep in mind, I'm the Christian in the room. I'm in a Muslim household when I step down into their house. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He's calling his mother, because he's upset because I put the food on the grill and he's on the way. Now me, I don't want no conflict. And I'm a little pissed off that he's calling his mother instead of me. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I pack up and I leave. I'm like, you want me to pull the lamb off the grill? His mom's like, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, I just got done cooking for 5 hours in the hot sun, and this nigga's telling me to pull some lamb off the grill so he can feel good. But that's fine. But let me tell you what he did. Knowing my faith and my religion, I saw this nigga on Facebook a couple hours later talking about Allah bless this food, mocking me and being funny. We're never going to be okay again, Mike, and he's my brother. And he knows we're not going to be okay. We were all just at a graduation together. I was like, hey, and that was all I said to him. I'm probably never going to say anything to him ever again because I've respected his religion the entirety of the time. I came down to my father's Muslim house and I cooked dinner for everybody. And your ass want to violate me. So it's like, no, this ain't about Kendrick. I do the same fucking shit to my brother because guess what? I just fucking did. My dad's birthday was in March. I'm never fucking with my brother again behind that shit. I'll shake his hand every time. I love his children like they're mine. But me and him, we done for life.
Yeah, Mad Max with the super chat says, "Thank you, Coop. Talk about
we done
it
for life.
K.
That's
Dot
my
selling.
brother, so fuck Kendrick."
He said K. Dot selling an image like, come on, bro. Man, we 3.5 hours in, man. We had a great show. It's so much.
I'm just keeping it real since people really want to go live.
No, you keeping it about
on Kendrick. It's like, nah, I watch my brother jump on Facebook Live and do some funky ass shit talking about some Allah bless this food, knowing my Christian ass just cooked the food. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna shake your hand and I'm gonna pray for you and I'm gonna love you, but I'll never fuck with you tough again. Fuck that.
And on that note, let's get up out of here, man. Friday, we got some new music, I think. Is the game still coming out Friday?
That's what the word on the street is, Mike. Oh, you want to know what?
Oh, Cardi B's dropping a song Friday with Kanye.
Somebody say Coop need family counseling. No, I don't. My brothers are like 6'3", 6'2", 6'5", 6'9". You come try to counsel those niggas. Right. I'm the only one that's under 6 feet. Right. No, I'm not squashing nothing. No, I don't think people understand. We were just at a family event together. I shook his hand. We walked in together. I didn't say that I don't love him. I didn't say that we not cool. I said I'm never fucking with him again.
Yo, shout out to Brooklyn Medina in the room, man. I think Brooklyn Medina got in the in the
No.
community section and said that he was actually at that Rakim show that we posted the flyer for, something like that.
No, listen. People gotta listen to me. No, I forgave him from the moment that he did it.
Yeah.
But I don't tolerate that bullshit. You don't disrespect my religion and have our relationship be the
You
same. You
forgive, but you don't forget.
No, it's not even forgetting. It's like, well, I've been coming down to this house for 20 years and I've never disrespected y'all's religion. You feel me?
Mm.
You don't have no leeway or no room to disrespect mine. And so I'm going to shake your hand and love you like a brother, but I'll never fuck with him again. Like if he ever wants to go get a drink, the answer is no. He ever wants to go grab food, the answer is no. He ever wants me to come to his house and hang out with him, the answer is no.
Well, what if he apologizes? What if he apologizes and says,
No. It doesn't matter because A, he just had the opportunity to apologize and he didn't. Mm. And B, it's like, well, I ain't the type. See, our father's a special type of dude, and I'm probably more like our dad than the rest of them. Well, I ain't the type of nigga that you just apologize to and shit be okay anyway, nigga. So I know who I am. That's why it's like, no. Me and him ain't never going to be okay. It's going to be some high by, put the kids together, whatever. But like before this happened, he was like, yo, you should come to the house and kick it. And almost took him up on that offer. Never taking him up on that offer behind that. I can't trust you to respect my religion the way I respected yours for 20 years. I came into my family's Muslim house for 20 years and showed respect. The one time you felt disrespected, the first thing that you went to was to disrespect my religion. I don't care if you're my brother. That's fuck ass shit. I know who you are now. So
Brooklyn
I deal with you
Medina,
accordingly.
I'm sorry.
I'll see you at all these graduation events and all these family events, you feel what I'm saying? You and me, we never kicking it. No.
I'm sorry, Brooklyn Medina. Brooklyn Medina is a she. I apologize for that. Yeah, she said she was at that Rakim show, and I bet that shit was amazing. I would love to. We need to start having a call-in show, man. We're gonna have some things.
I was about to say, I was actually meaning to hit you behind the scenes earlier because I'm like, man, our third show needs to happen fast.
Okay, let's do that.
Because no, like the way that we're growing and the way people are like really galvanizing themselves, and even the dexterity and Mike, we're getting super agile with the topics. I'm just feeling like, it's easy for us right now. Think about this. You and me a year and a half ago was thinking about having a Wednesday show for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We're having trouble staying under 4 hours on our Wednesday and Friday shows. We need another show.
We definitely do. All right, well, let's talk about that tomorrow, you and I, and we're going to talk to y'all on Friday.
Yes, 4.25 for Lupe.
4.25 for Lupe. See y'all Friday.
Yes.